bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Happy Tuesday. Fade to Black. Fade to Black. Fade to Black. How you doing? Yeah, let's go. We got a lot to do tonight. I got to get a lot of stuff out of the way. I got a yakking on. This is Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Wednesday, August 26th. 238 days into the new year, 127 days left. We are live from the City of Angels Studios right here in downtown Burbank, California. COA Vapor, makers of the Fade to Black e-juice. It's called Fader Loops. Just go to the COA banner right now at jimmychurchradio.com. Get you some. Use the promo code Jimmy for the Fader Not Special. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your oh so humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Got a lot to do tonight, a lot to get out of the way. Let's go. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, we have authors Casper Parks and Dave Bara right here. And we've got another guy coming by, a twin. I have never had twins on the show. Mike Bara is going to be right here. Can't wait. It's going to be a great night. Dave and Mike on the same show. And I got to tell you, we just did sound check. I can't tell the two dudes apart. It was funny. David Wilcock the other night when he said, hey, man, good luck. And he's right. So we're going to call one Dave and one Bara. You figure it out. This is Fade to Black. Okay, I want to get a few things out of the way really quick. Don't forget, coming up in about a month, a little less now, the MUFON Symposium is September 24th through the 27th, right there in Irvine, California. I will be doing a couple of different things down there, but it's going to be a jam-packed weekend. MUFON Symposium, just go to MUFON.com, get your tickets, and go. We'll be hanging out. We're going to have a little Fade or Not party. We're going to do all of that. Okay? All right. Drinks are on K28. Also, the Skyfire Summit, Travis Walton, that is November 5th through the 8th over in Heber, Arizona. Just go to skyfiresummit.com. I believe that's the website, but you can find it, skyfiresummit.com. Go check that out. That is November 5th through the 8th. Congratulations to Carol Peralt, who won a full weekend pass to the Skyfire Summit. She's going to be there. It's going to be a great event. Also, let me see here. I got to do a couple of things, and I'm going to do this. I am doing that. I am doing that. Yes. Okay. Also, tomorrow night, right here on KGRA, right here, tomorrow night on KGRA, over on Phenomenon Radio with John Burroughs, Linda Moulton Howe. Great show. I listened to it. I put the stamp. I put the Jimmy stamp. I put the Fade or Not stamp on Phenomenon Radio. Big things are happening on Phenomenon Radio. And tomorrow night, a serious event is going down. For the first time, one of the witnesses to Rendlesham that we have always talked about Adrian Bustenza is going to be on Phenomenon Radio, and I would like to just bring on the show right now John Burroughs. John, how did you pull this one off? I've been trying to get Adrian on my show for a couple of years now, and what'd you do? Just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Aid."
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess in a roundabout way, I've been in touch with him over the years. I mean, we were out in the field together on the third night, and we went back and forth, and Adrian's already said at some point he wanted to come out and talk about it. So a few weeks ago, we started talking again, and he agreed to come on tomorrow night to talk about what went on during that third night.
Congratulations for that. And you know what? I hope, John, I know that you're going to be doing this tomorrow night, but I hope a few things can be put to bed. Wink, wink, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and one of the goals of tomorrow night's show for everybody who is listening now is for unification of all the people that were out there involved, not the continuing backfighting that goes on, and try to show people that we were out there, something happened, it's injured some of us, and that we want to move forward united, not divided.
Thank you so much, John. Tomorrow night, what time's your show?
Starts at 8 Eastern on KGRA.
You like saying that? You sound like a radio guy, man. How you feeling? You got your feet under you now? Are you that guy?
No, I'm not yet, but I'm doing my best learning from the experts.
Well, when I take a vacation, I need somebody to fill my seat, so we're prepping you. We're priming you.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, see, you're already cocky. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I just appreciate it, Jimmy. I'm glad you even mentioned me, so I appreciate it. So.
John, you are the best. Your show is a phenomenon. You guys are doing great. I'm so impressed, and I'm so happy for everything that you're doing. And tomorrow night is one of those things that everybody wishes for in their life as a host, to have just a blockbuster show like you're about to have tomorrow night. Good luck with that. I'll be listening. Thank you so much.
Good night.
John Burroughs, everybody. Tomorrow night, KGRA, Phenomenon Radio. This is no joke. Adrian Bustenza is going to be on Phenomenon. And listen, and how important is this? I have talked to Halt. I have talked to, Burroughs, Peniston, Larry Warren. I've talked to all the witnesses that I can that were there. John Burroughs, of course. Of course, I've talked to Peter Robbins about Adrian. I've talked to Colonel Halt about Adrian. I've talked to Nick Pope about Adrian. Everybody talks about Adrian Bustenza, but Bustenza hasn't spoken. This is a big blockbuster night tomorrow night on Phenomenon Radio. I'm going to be there. You should be too. All right, let's go. Let's get the show cracking. We got so much to do tonight. I'm fired up. I got a message today, finally, from Studio Dome. They are now ready. They've got the new product in. So on Monday, we've got some new stuff that we're going to be talking about. So there you go. I'm very fired up about that. We'll get everything ready and done, and that will be Monday. And again, and the note that I got from those guys, I'm just gonna tell you right now. Tell the Fadernauts thank you. So I'm doing it. Thank you. It's funny. My Fadernaut family, my extended family, the audience out there, do you guys have any idea of what it's like that after every single show, 10 o'clock at night, the last thing that happens in here is I get a text or an email or a phone call from the guest wanting me to go back and thank you. That doesn't happen anywhere. You think somebody calls Anderson Cooper and says, "Hey, Cooper, man, tell the audience thank you." No, it does not happen. It happens every single night on this show. The advertisers, the sponsors want me to thank you. It is, how cool is that? Never forget that. We are a family, friends, family, country, and then fade to black in that order. And it's all good. All right. So yeah, Monday, Studio Dome. Okay. Where am I at today? Melissa McCarthy is 45 years old. I had to go there. Man, she's gotten rich, hasn't she? She's funny. She's cool. Of course, Bridesmaids. And I forget that TV show she was on for like 15 years. She was pretty good on that, too. But Bridesmaids, Spy, Tammy, St. Vincent, Identity Thief, The Heat, Melissa McCarthy. And you know what? Don't get skinny, Melissa. We like you we like the old Melissa. Did I just say that? You know what I'm talking about. Melissa McCarthy, happy birthday. Also today, man, get this in before the break. Macaulay Culkin. Yeah, 35 years old. And so today I'm sitting here in the studio and I'm like, Macaulay Culkin, really? 35? You know, wasn't he dating what's her name? And then he did, wow. And then he was, but what's dude? So I just went and looked. I just did a little investigation. Check this out. We all know about his first movie and his second movie and his third movie. We know about that. But listen to this. I did a little compilation for you. Uncle Buck, his first movie, he made $40,000. And he's like 8 years old. Remember? Right? Okay. Then Home Alone, $100,000 he made for that movie, $100,000. And then My Girl, $1 million. Then Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, his rate went up, $4.5 million. Then The Good Son, remember that? The horror flick, $1.5 million. Then Getting Even with Dad, you don't remember that, $8 million. Then he did Richie Rich, $8 million, for a total of, for these movies, $23.5 million by the age of 13. And then he didn't do anything else. Nope. He's done some stuff, but he never went back. He retired. $23.5 million by the age of 13. The question is, as we head into our break, how much of that is left? And I'll tell you what, this is how my brain works. Remember, at that age, you don't pay taxes. No. So how much of that money's left? What do you think? Did he double it? This is Fade to Black. Great night tonight. Casper Parks is with us. Dave and Mike Bara. Thank you to John Burroughs. Tomorrow night, Phenomenon Radio. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be back with all the news that you know nothing about right after this short break.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Klutsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fader-Knots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. At JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do. Facebook, you can like. YouTube, you can subscribe. Everything is Fade to Black, JChurch Radio, Jimmy Church Radio, Fade to Black. Easy enough to figure it out. Go do it. Follow, like, and subscribe. You can also email throughout the show. That is Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Also easy enough to do. You can also go over to our contact page at JimmyChurchRadio.com, and you can send an email through there. All email goes through the producers. Of course it does. I'd be bombed trying to read email tonight or throughout any show. The good stuff gets through here to me. All right? Make it good, I'll read it. Make it really good, I'll write back. If you have any questions during the show, hashtag F2BQ. That's Fade to Black Questions. Hashtag F2BQ. Want to hang out in the sandbox? That is hashtag F2B. You know, should we change that? You know, with all these hashtags F2B, are we trending F2B? Does anybody even know what F2B is as it trends every night? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? And some of the people that we've had come through the sandbox, you know, it's sitting there trending. So they're like, oh, man, okay, let's get in on this. Let's send out our message. And they pop into the sandbox some way out, you know, it has nothing to do with what we do here. It's really funny. All right, Brandon in Phoenix just tweeted out, moldy peaches is good stuff. Moldy peaches, yes. Oh, okay. Oh, I know what he's done. Okay, all right. Yes, I almost didn't quick catch that. Pretty funny. Okay, all right, let's go. NASA's all the news that you don't know. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. On this day in history, in 1939, the first baseball game was broadcast on television. On this day in 1939, television station W2XBS in New York City broadcast a doubleheader between the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds with 2 cameras. How cool is that? Okay, Fader fact. Got one for you. Thank you, Renee. Fader fact. More kinds of bacteria live in your house than live in your yard. Ugh. I bet you can actually modify that. More kinds of bacteria live in your mouth than live in your house. I bet you that's true. I have some friends. Be more kinds of bacteria live on your head. More kinds of bacteria live in your beard. All the news that you know nothing about. I'm going to say this right now. I think this photograph is one of the most important photographs ever taken of our solar system and universe. It was published today. It was taken on August 19th by NASA's Dawn spacecraft. And let's see who's the quickest on Twitter. NASA is calling it the Lonely Mountain. And you can go to the NASA website right there, nasa.gov, right there, the Lonely Mountain. There it sits. All right. I don't know what to make of this. Bara's going to be on. We'll be talking about this in just a bit. But I think this is one of the most important photographs ever. I just need explanation on this. If you want to see it, it'll be published here on Twitter in just a second. Somebody will pop it up there. You can also go to our Facebook page. The entire article is there, too, as well. Now, what is it? I don't know. This is the release, well, with my editing, I should say, from NASA. NASA's Dawn spacecraft spotted a tall, conical mountain on Ceres from a distance of 915 miles. The mountain, located in the southern hemisphere of Ceres, stands 4 miles high. Its perimeter is sharply defined, those are my words, with almost no accumulated debris at the base of what looks like glass or shiny metal panels. This is 4 miles high. You look at this photograph and somebody explain this to me. Look, I don't care. I'm not saying it looks like the entrance to a convention center. I'm not saying that, although it does. It doesn't look like, I'm not necessarily saying it looks like an arena on the Las Vegas Strip. I'm not saying that either, although it does. And I'm not saying it looks like the entrance to the Louvre, although it does. It looks crazy. I have no idea. It is all by itself. There isn't anything else next to it. I've heard all kinds of crazy explanations. No matter what, if it is what it is, then why isn't there more of something like it around it? What if it is a mountain of crystals? Okay, how come there's no other mini mountains of crystals around it? This is 4 miles high. I can't. The image was taken on August 19th. The resolution of the image is 450 feet per pixel. Now, Walter, what you just published is not what I'm talking about. Well, it is, but it's not. I wanted the picture that I'm talking about was just hit here by Allison. I am retweeting. Also, it looks like a boom. There it goes. Gina. Yeah, there you go. Okay, those are retweeted out. Explain that image to me. That's all I'm saying. I just want an explanation of what I'm looking at. Is it a mountain of crystal? Is it a mountain of salt? Is it a mountain of something? What is it? But whatever it is, why isn't there more of it right next to it? If that is 4 mile panels, 4 miles. If it's 4 miles, what is it that, somebody help me, what is it that we are looking at here? That is crazy. Out of all the photography of Mars, out of everything that's been taken of the moon, everything that's been taken of pick a planet, Saturn, Jupiter, now we got Pluto. We don't have anything like this anywhere. That is an important photograph. That I need an explanation on. Because that is like nothing you've ever seen before. Imagine if they, look, let me help you out. You want me to tell you how important it is? Just imagine if we had something like that on planet Earth. It would be just the most amazing thing ever. It would Mount Rushmore, Grand Canyon, Mount Everest. It's that important. Look at that. I think it's the most important photograph ever. Somebody explain it to me. Moving on. It's going to be big. I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon. North Dakota police have been authorized to equip drones with tasers, with tear gas, and other non-lethal weapons after interference from a police lobby group led to an amendment to a bill which was initially intended to limit police powers to deploy drones to begin with. The adopted amendment to House Bill 1328 enables police drones to use less than lethal weapons, such as tasers, beanbags, pepper spray, sound cannons, and rubber bullets. The amendment was pushed through by Bruce Burkett of North Dakota's Peace Officers Association, a police lobby group. And the bill was passed earlier this year and initially prohibited any lethal or non-lethal weapons on drones of any kind. But that was eventually amended to permit the deployment of less than lethal weapons. Does this open the door? Is this RoboCop now for real? Rubber bullets coming from a drone? A taser coming from a drone? Do we need to stop this now? opening the door, a little crack, opening this up just a little bit is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Cops with tasers is a bad idea, let alone a drone. It may be official now. Looking into this was the announcement today. Coal fly ash used in chemtrail aerosols. Yes, geophysicist produces conclusive evidence now. The evidence of toxic, and I'm quoting here, the evidence of toxic coal fly ash and chemical geoengineering in the troposphere, consequences for public health, end quote, is the title of the report that has now been published in a peer-reviewed, listen to this, U.S. government spraying tons of toxic coal fly ash into the atmosphere via chemtrails has now been published, and it is official, by the SOTN investigative research team, State of the Nation. Scientific evidence now exists which indicates the presence of toxic coal combustion fly ash in the Earth's atmosphere. The following abstract excerpt comes from a recently published peer-reviewed article in the August 11th issue of the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. Are we at the point where we're going to have to get admissions officially about chemtrails? One of the biggest taboo conspiracy theory, talk about tinfoil hat stuff. I mean, the way that they look at us. But here we are. We may very well be at the brink of an admission, and maybe we can do something about it and move forward. All right, we're up against it. Man, I've got so much news of how, Buzz Aldrin and his new institute in Florida. You know what? I got just enough time. I'm going to squeeze this one in. Buzz Aldrin tomorrow will visit the Florida Institute of Technology for a ceremony formally establishing a space institute in the astronaut's name. The Buzz Aldrin Space Institute at Florida Tech will be opening this fall. It's going to focus on Mars settlement through Aldrin's concept of cycling pathways to occupy Mars. Congratulations, Buzz. That's a big deal. That's a real one. Congratulations. Tonight, when I come back after the break, Casper Parks is going to be right here. Dave and Mike Bara in the second hour. It's going to be a great night. Thank you to John Burroughs. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Phenomenon Radio, Adrian Bastenza with Linda Moulton Howe. That's going to be a biggie. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Bespoke radio for the masses. I'll be back right after this.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Today, everybody, the Fadernauts and planet Earth is vaping, and I'm very proud to announce our very own e-juice. When we were approached by City of Angels Vapor about Fade to Black e-juice, I wanted to make sure that it was the very best and that the flavors were something that I could create myself, and we did just that. Introducing Fade to Black Fader Loops. This will take you right back to Saturday morning cartoons and your favorite bowl of fruity, loopy cereal. Just click on the banner or go to www.coavapor.com. Enter the promo code Jimmy for the Fader Not Special. That's www.coavapor.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you. And your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Attention, all Fader Knots. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's JimmyChurchRadio.com, Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Tonight, science fiction author night. How cool is that? Casper Parks is with us. In the next segment, Dave Bara will be here with his brother Mike. It's going to be a great night. One of my favorite subjects, man. Reading. Guerrilla novelist Casper Parks is considered a must-read author for today's generation. He uses science fiction to explore the possibilities of reality past, present, and future. His relationship spans numerous ages and nations. After high school, he served in the United States Navy doing a Westpac. 3 semesters into college, that opportunity knocked, and he answered. For years, he worked in the industry and as an actor and a radio announcer. In the music industry, he started by setting stages, working his way into a lighting tech and stage managing career. He worked on site as a manager of a rehearsal studio in downtown Los Angeles, then left that career in the music industry on Labor Day 1993. Casper Parks is active and respected in the UFO community. He has witnessed a number of UFOs and has posted one encounter online. I would like to welcome to the show fellow Fadernaut, Casper Parks. Casper, how are you tonight? Casper. Okay, this is not the way to start your show. Casper, I can hear you. Okay, all right. Casper, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Jimmy, can you hear me all right?
Casper, not the way to start an interview on live radio.
Jimmy, but I don't know.
Okay, Casper, reset your system.
No, it's not.
Okay, all right, that's it. Casper, reset your system. Reset, get your microphone going. That's not the way we do this here. All right, Casper, get it live, get it going. I've got a bunch of Casper's books here, by the way. I've got Coming from Darkness. I've got, we'll give away a couple on the air. Okay, we've got Casper back. Let's see if he's live and running.
No.
Casper, are you there? Okay, Casper, you've got to figure this out. I don't know what's going on. We did a sound check right before the show. Everything was cool. Now we've lost Casper. There you go. Casper, I can't do this all night. Okay, Casper, are you there? Casper, okay.
Oh, my God.
Okay, that's it. So much for Casper. Jeez. Rita, get Casper on the phone. Have him figure out what's going on. But anyway, I'll say this: Casper is a great author. Been reading his stuff. I wanted to give away a bunch of his books tonight, and do a great show. We'll get Casper back online, and while we're doing that, I'm going to go back. And while we're waiting, there was some other stuff I wanted to get out of the way, and let's do that. And while we're resetting, it's called live radio. This is what happened. In a recent paper published in the Journal of Cosmology, Dr. John Brandenburg summarized findings that indicated not only that there was life on Mars, but someone wiped it out with a massive nuclear explosion. Among the data, Dr. Brandenburg stated that there were highly elevated levels of uranium and thorium byproducts of a nuclear reaction on the surface of Mars. Even more importantly, these same elevated levels of uranium and thorium were not found on meteorites that had smashed into the planet in more recent times. This is very important. Basically, these pieces of evidence strongly indicate some sort of extreme event involving a planet-wide nuclear explosion that happened in the distant past. It's a very interesting article. Everything is posted over at jimmychurchradio.com. Casper, are we good? Casper Parks. Okay, Casper. Okay. I'm not being rude. It's just you need to be ready to go when you come on the show. So you know what? I'm going to do this. Let's take a break. This is Fade to Black. I'll get this straightened out. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. When I come back, hopefully we'll have Casper Parks right here.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com. Hey everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONSymposium.com. That's MUFONSymposium.com. Go Beckley Tepe.
¿Qué tal mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With a mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. All right, I think we have Casper. I think we're good. We can relax. Let's do this. Casper, how are you tonight?
A little intense, but...
hey, always relax. Relax.
Yeah. Rebooted Skype, so...
That's how you do it. You just relax. It's all good. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. It's getting a little bit colder here, but at least it's not snowing yet.
It's you know what? Here, it's really weird. The weather in Southern California, it kind of chilled out for the last couple days, got back down to like 90. And, today we're back up to this. It's just unbelievably hot here. And I cannot... This is what you lived here in Southern California. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Here in Southern California, it's the winter that we love, right? That's the best part of the year. You wouldn't think that. You would think it would be summer. Winter here is what we look forward to. We have to get through the summer to get to winter, and it's not going to get here soon enough this time. It's been blasting all summer long.
Oh yeah, it's been hot out there. I've been looking, and in the Great Lakes, upper East Coast, they hear about climate change. The temperatures being hot all over, but that part of the globe has been cooler than normal. Like today's high was 68.
Wow, that's great. How close are you to one of the Great Lakes?
As a crow flies, probably less than 10 miles.
Okay, so you're right there. Did you? Where were you born? Well, the reason why I'm asking is this: over a period of time, I noticed the Great Lakes, Lake Michigan specifically. I remember growing up to these big, huge beaches, and then the beach just slowly went away. The water got higher and higher. Are you noticing the same thing there?
The lake levels go up and down, depending upon the snowfall.
Right.
Back in the 70s, the lakes were so high that people's cottages along the lakeshore, Lake Michigan, were getting washed into. There's eating away the dunes. People's houses were falling in. Then years later, the lakes were real low.
Yeah, I noticed that myself, and you would think that the water level would be consistent, and it wasn't. I'd go out and just remember these big beaches that I went out and played on as a kid were now gone. The water was all the way up against it's not quite a cliff, but it's a big dirt hill, and the big beaches were gone. And I didn't know if that was due to global warming or not. And I always found it bizarre, but you've noticed the same thing.
Yeah, it's done that my entire life. I've seen it go up and down, up and down. I lived away from here for 30 years, but when I come back, the thing I don't do, and you're probably like this too in California, you live so close to the water where you can go see these beautiful sunsets, but you never go.
Yeah, exactly. That whole global warming thing, and I call it the thing because it has come and gone a few different ways in the last 10 years. In that it had a big run and a big support, and then enough people and scientists came along and said, no, there is no global warming. This is natural. Then you have the scientists that will tell you it's going on every planet in the solar system. It's not just Earth, and it's not caused by man. It's caused by the sun. And then you have that, and now it's kind of swinging back to now it's back to us and pollution, and we're causing it again. So it's weird. I don't know what to believe or to even feel that it's real. And then we had like the coldest winter ever this past year. So I don't get it.
Yeah, it's there's a guy on YouTube that is really good at tying together space weather. You know, like what takes place in the sun, how it affects here on Earth. This guy's even predicted like earthquakes within a few days. He's pretty good at it.
What's his name?
I think his first name is Ben. I don't know his last name, but he's on YouTube. I think it's Suspicious Observer. He'd be a good guy to have on the show. I mean, he's a scientist. He's not.
I've always been intrigued with that. There's a couple of guys out there that are really, 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 really good at it. But I forget who I was talking to the other day. Well, I'm not going to name drop, but it was somebody. And they go, look, man, anybody can predict an earthquake because they're going to happen. Anybody, he said, now predict a day and have it happen. Anybody can predict the stock market because the stock market's going to go up or down. So, but pick a day and pick a specific event, and then we'll have something. And it was a pretty interesting observation. And he had said something that I'd said years ago, which is no prophet has come along and no prophecy from a prophet has ever come to pass. It's never happened. As far as I know, it's never happened. As far as I know, because wouldn't that be the most famous person ever in the history of anything?
Yeah, if they went and said, okay, on July or August 25th of next year, Tokyo's going to get a 8.9. That would be Pacific. But predicting, California's getting an earthquake this year, odds are they're going to. You guys have had numerous ones. That's like saying, is a blue car going to drive down the road?
Right.
Well, yeah, it is.
Yes, which is exactly my point. Now, before we get to your books, and we're going to give away a couple tonight. I've got a couple of copies of Coming from Darkness, and so we'll give those away. But before we get to this, you've had your own sightings, and you've witnessed UFOs. And I want to talk about that and how that influences your writing, what you saw, where you saw it. And then the other thing is this, Casper. Each of your books is it's small print, and it's a lot of pages. Do you set out to write, this many pages and have it, because too many times you pick up a book, large print, it's a couple of hundred pages, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of effort put into the book. And then I pick these things up, and they're weapons. These are a lot of pages. There's a lot of stuff here. Do you set out to make sure that you? Is it the story that dictates this, or are you trying to make sure that everybody gets their money's worth?
The stuff you have there, with the exception of Coming from Darkness, Perception Threshold, Ages Past were both originally screenplays that I wrote when I was managing the studio in the early 90s.
Yep.
I got a talking to, by the way, by some people in my office in 93. But at any rate, I'd like to touch back on that. But
okay.
The books, writing the screenplay based on the books, or the books based on the screenplays, excuse me. The story was already there. I kind of had to fill it in. With Ages Past, I added some stuff. I added The Hunt, where Jermac is caught up on one of the planets and gets put into a ritual hunt. I added that to the book. It's not in the screenplay. Now I've learned my lesson. Most books, if you look at them, run about 85 to 95,000 words. You start hitting 120,000, which is where those are getting close to. That's not a no-no, but that's kind of pushing it. Now, my next 3 books, I've got one almost done. It's a rock and roll story. I'm pacing that to try and end it at around 95,000. So it'll be like 30 or 40 pages less.
When you're doing a screenplay like Ages Past, a screenplay needs, there's always this, there's a few rules in Hollywood. You need it to be 115 pages. You need it to be 120 pages.
Yeah.
Well, obviously this is not that. You had to expand on it. Or are you saying that your screenplay was a 400-page screenplay?
No, the screenplay for Ages Past, I think, off the top of my head, I'm going to say it was 117 pages.
110. So where did the rest of the story come from?
It's kind of a fill-in-the-blank thing because, a screenplay is like one line.
Yes.
Cut here, cut there, dialogue. And when you move it into the book format, you're dealing with their thoughts. You're being a little more descriptive of the scenery in the background, things of that sort. When I wrote Ages Past, originally I wrote that in 92 and 93. I was really, I'd been into the UFO thing for years before that. And it was before the internet, so anything you got was like through literature, books, publications, people talking to each other. Some stuff I just knew. I don't know how I know it, I just knew it. And with Ages Past in particular, I tried to lay a lot between the lines, where if someone has a good, decent grasp on the various UFO theories out there, and they read Ages Past, they're going to see a lot laid in between the lines there.
Sure.
And I think it's a good story for introducing someone to ufology. If you talk to somebody about this and they kind of get all put off, this would be a book. Don't say, hey, this is about ufology. Hey, read this book. Don't say anything, and let them find out for themselves. Because, when they read it, even if they don't catch it now, when disclosure comes, I think it'll be a partial disclosure and then a full disclosure. When that comes, I'm hoping that people can look back at, I read that in a book, and try to think and sort through things.
How is your character development and the way that you write today, how has it changed from, say, Ages Past, which is now, it's 12, 13 years ago, and you wrote the book before then, that was 1993. So how has your development continued? And with that, do you find that each book is a continuation of a previous one?
They're all interconnected.
Right.
Even Bristol, not so much. That's the Western I did. And that was, when I wrote Bristol, I have a friend of mine who's a best-selling Western author, and I do his website. And he's a really good writer. He's got like 70 books. He was nominated for Pulitzer in 92. And he's been real supportive of me. But he goes, this is back in the, early 90s, after I left the studio, so it'd been like 94, 95. Give yourself an assignment. And I thought, okay, we'll do a Western. And then I saw something on Kakadu, which is a region in Australia that has 6 seasons versus 4. And I was driving to work one morning, and all of a sudden, I'm going over the Fox River, headed to work, and all of a sudden, bam, the story hit me. And I almost turned around and went back home to write.
Right.
Because all of a sudden it was there in a flash. Boom. The characters, everything was just there. Then I wrote it, got it in and out of a publishing house, but they were picking up 3 to 5 Western authors. They were taking 10 submissions, and I got in without an agent, which is rare. They liked the book, but they went with the established authors. Western genre tends to go up and down.
Sure.
I think as the baby boomers retire, it'll jump up again.
How does, you know what, we're going to be up against a break, so I want to go back to, you said you had a conversation at the studio in 1993. What was that?
I had been, John Lear, I believe it was, had a convention in Los Angeles. And there's some people in some bands, and they wanted me to go, and they said, well, you need to meet John Lear. And I was like, I'm reluctant to be around a lot of people, and crowds kind of make me nervous. So I kind of dodged and so I got to be in the office, which really wasn't true. I didn't have to be.
Right.
And so the on the Saturday morning that was going down, I thought, well, I'd better go to my office because I said that's where I was going to be. So I went into my office and back up real quick. As some of these people were pressing me, came up and said, we have a message from John Lear's people. They want to know how you know what you know. Those were their exact words. So I'm sitting in my office in LA. It's like 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I think it was this late spring of '93. And these two guys came into my office. They were like at least 6'5", maybe a little taller.
Wow. Extremely
good physical shape. I mean, these guys, they had jet black hair. It was cut really well above the ears. It wasn't like a crew cut or anything, but it was above the ears, styled really well, looked like something from the 1960s. They're extremely fit, but they weren't bodybuilders, but really physically fit. Their jeans were creased in the front. I mean, who creases blue jeans? They had shirts with collars on, but they were casual shirts. And they came to my office, sat down in front of me, and started bringing up a couple of my scripts and without saying script by name, but just kind of talking to me. And they asked me the same exact question, word for word. How do you know what you know? And I looked at him and I kind of went, let's see. In my head, I'm going, okay, perception threshold, really, I mean, I mentioned the gray aliens, but I don't, do anything with them. Ages passed, I hadn't shopped yet, but the script was out there, the copyright was done, but I really hadn't been shopping it. And Taken, I had shopped, and it makes mention in reference to the gray aliens in there. And I'm thinking, well, what are they asking me this for? What did I say between the lines? And I gave them the same answer. I don't know how I know what I know. I just know it. And then they moved on to another topic. I was managing a band at the time on the side that was playing rallies at the Federal Building for hemp. And, and then they kind of went off on, talked to me about that for a minute, and then they left.
Who were they?
I have no idea. They didn't produce any badges. They didn't show anything at all. They felt this.
Well, didn't those two books, I mean, you had downloads then that you've told me about before. Could it have been something that you didn't recollect that maybe they were referring to in the book that you didn't maybe connect the dots to at that time?
Well, we were doing screenplays then. But yeah, because they hadn't written the books yet. They were doing with the screenplay versions, which would have been Perception Threshold, Taken. I wrote a crossover, but that's something that should never seen the light of day. And I don't think they were making reference to that. And ages past, the copyright was done, and it was floating around, but it wasn't being shopped.
How do you think they knew this then?
I really don't know. I know that at the time I was working with that band, we had a guy from the phone company that someone knew in the band, and because they were doing the rallies, and we went in. He ran a sweep on my phone in my office, and we went to my house and ran a sweep, and both my phones were tapped.
Interesting.
They were both wired.
Interesting.
We figured it was the hemp rally. That's what we kind of figured.
Could have been. I'm not feeling that though. I'm not feeling that. Let's take a quick break, Casper. We're up against a break. Let's do that. When we come back, we're going to talk about his UFO sightings, and then let's give away some books too as well.
Sure.
Tonight, Casper Parks is with us. It is a science fiction evening. This is Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. I'll be back right after this. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Back right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Today, everybody, the Fadernauts and planet Earth is vaping, and I'm very proud to announce our very own e-juice. When we were approached by City of Angels Vapor about Fade to Black e-juice, I wanted to make sure that it was the very best, and that the flavors were something that I could create myself, and we did just that. Introducing Fade to Black Fader Loops. This will take you right back to Saturday morning cartoons and your favorite bowl of fruity, loopy cereal. Just click on the banner or go to www.coavapor.com. Enter the promo code Jimmy for the Fader Not Special. That's www.coavapor.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you. And your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're of the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Attention, all Fadernauts. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's jimmychurchradio.com, Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Tonight, Casper Parks is with us. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B, that's the sandbox. Come hang out with all of us tonight. Title 14, Section 1211, Code of Federal Regulations, passed into law on July 16, 1969. Anyone in contact with an extraterrestrial and or UFO is jailed. NASA can enforce quarantine and that court order, and nobody can break it. Casper, is that based on fact?
Yes. That law was rescinded in 1992. However, they could easily put it back into play. We need to remember they passed a lot of laws in the dead of night that nobody knows anything about. But that law was making the rounds in the early 90s, and then it was rescinded, I think, in 92. I might be wrong on the year, give or take, but so they rescinded it and undid it. But the fact that they wrote it, and it was an actual law, it was passed in, I think I said it was July 1967.
Well, Coming from Darkness reads like man, I don't want to say, it reads like nonfiction. And so when you read something like this, it seems like you know something. And it seems like that Bryce may be a pseudonym, but it sounds like you know something and you're writing about it and you're hiding it in fiction. And it's an alarming read. So I'm going to ask you directly, do you know something that nobody else does?
I've been asked that question before. I got asked a question before I started writing. You know, when I wrote Coming from Darkness, you know, we have a lot of new people coming into ufology, listening to your show, and there's a lot of basic theories out there, and there's one particularly strong one that went through the 1970s, where, you know, they had the encounter with the Greys in Roswell. There was an alleged meeting with the Pleiadians who asked for the crashed spaceship to use it for evidence. So I assume maybe a council of some sort. And that the U.S. government shot and killed the ambassadors and stole the ship. That's a theory that's out there. And fearful for what they did, the government made a deal with the Greys to allow them to permit them to continue abducting people, so on and so forth. Then they realized they had made a deal more or less with the devil. And the Greys didn't provide the lists complete that the people that were taking. You know, we know that a lot of times the Greys and the humans, we hear this repeatedly from UFO people and everything else, that they refer to the body as a container. You've heard that before, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. And there's something that I posted online, and I've said it a number of times. You know, I have a pair of brown shoes, but I'm not the shoes. They're an extension of me. And the style of taste. You know, it's not that you have an eternal soul. You are an eternal soul.
Right.
It's a matter of perception. You can't have what you are. And I don't know if that makes sense to anybody or not. And I apologize on Twitter. I'm not watching it because I don't want to touch my computer.
Yeah, that's quite all right.
But, yeah, that we have an eternal soul. And in Coming from Darkness, you know, it's possible that, you know, they develop a technology where everybody gets, we hear about these RFID chips coming. It could be something totally different. It could be like a little sticker that goes on your arm or something of that sort. You hear a lot, back in the late 60s, early 70s, I started hearing about, you know, the NWO and being a New World Order. And then all of a sudden, in the 1990s, you hear Bush Sr., when they're going into Kuwait, make that statement. And it was just kind of like mind-altering. It's like, wow, I've been hearing that for like 20 years already. You know, than to hear it. I think that will be defeated, but I think something else is going to come in its place. From my opinion, but I could be wrong about that. But it's, as far as the alien thing goes, it's possible that people could fear former alien abductees. And, you know, when you look at, if you read the book, then you know when they're in the concentration camp, they separate some abductees from others.
Right.
And they're the ones that were they programmed by the gray aliens to complete missions when they're here on Earth, you know, things like that. And if you listen to some of the songs out there by some really big bands, I don't want to say any name, but I could name a couple of them right now. It would make you go, wow.
Right.
It's extremely possible. And I had intended on messaging Rita one of them, but and just look at the lyrics and she'd go, wow, that's really weird. But if you think about some of the major bands, some of the actors and things out there, and, you know, if there is a battle going on for our souls, it's believed that the Greys are at the end of their genetic breeding code and that they're trying to turn us into them in an effort to save themselves from extinction. That's something you've heard before, I know.
You hear it, but it's not mainstream in the UFO circles. You know, you hear reference to it, but when you drive it home and you drive the idea home, it does make. I could see why people would look at Casper Parks and say he may not know it, but he knows something. This is coming from somewhere. And it just reads as nonfiction.
I'm driven to write. I don't have any choice. I have to do it.
When you okay, let's talk about because I want to give away some books tonight, and I want to take some calls. But let's talk about some of your UFO sightings, and also the downloads that you receive. How are you able to retain those, to turn those, because they come down in a flat, you know, how are you able to decode the encoded message because it comes to you in a flash?
I don't know if I can put that in words. It's just suddenly it's there. All of a sudden, bam, it's there. Right now I'm like 4 books out in my head. I've got Accidental Destiny that I'm working on. Then I have Stellar Destiny. Then I have another Destiny book, and then I have Accidental Warriors.
How many hours a day do you write?
It depends. Sometimes I might not do any heavy-duty writing for 2, 3, 4 weeks. Then all of a sudden I'll sit down and I write like 18 hours straight. And I'll do that for a month and a half.
That's amazing. And well, you have to be able to do that to crank out this type of work. I just can't imagine having that kind of discipline to sit down. I can't do it. I just don't have that discipline. I can write in bursts, but to write a book, even one book, to be able to do it from start to finish is amazing to me. I look up to any author that has that kind of discipline. But for I'm telling you, Casper, the audience needs to understand that when you read Coming from Darkness, it's frightening. It doesn't read like it's not like Star Wars. This is right here in real time in our own country on planet Earth, dealing with today's issues. And it's written from it's written almost in first person, like you're a documentary filmmaker, and this is a biography, and it's nonfiction, and that's what's alarming to me when I read the book. It's actually kind of frightening.
That book frightened me to publish it. I'm not going to lie to you; it scared me.
Yeah,
publishing that book scared me because I deal with a lot of issues in there, and there's the abuse issue that Bryce went through. There's the murder that he wasn't involved with. He was sort of involved with. There's, and then the government uses that all against him when they go hunting for him. The other day they talked about was it David Wilcox and the other guy's name was Cody?
Yeah, Corey Good.
Right. Yeah. And keep in mind, I wrote this originally back in like 1994, I think. And, I've got energy beings in there, which they're also in Perceptual Threshold, which I wrote in 91. Energy spheres. They're beings. But that's been around for a while in science fiction.
Have you had the guys come in 1993. Have you been contacted since then? You said that your phones were being tapped. Could have been because of, the marijuana. I don't think so, but...
I got buzzed by a black helicopter.
When was this?
It was in I'm going to say spring of 1994, because when I left L.A., I wasn't really doing well. And I went up into my brother's cabin, which we had built with my dad when it was a 2-sided log. It was all set off the road. Excuse me. And my neighbor lady, who was having some family drama difficulties, was up at 3 in the morning drinking coffee. And maybe around 10:30, 11 o'clock, she came out, waved for me from the fence, because they were closer to the road than the cabin was. And she said she had seen a green UFO hovering over the cabin. Well, that night I'd had a strange dream. I was playing an acoustic guitar, which is weird because I can't play. I can't play, I can't sing. This work in the music industry was business. And then I had a vision of the future, of my future, which came out to be pretty accurate. It was weird. And that she saw a UFO at the cabin. And the cabin heated with wood. So it's like 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm outside getting some wood. Oh, by the way, when I woke up, I have a red mark in my stomach, which I still have. And I have a puncture up in my forehead, which I still have. A puncture mark hole from that night, which I still have. So I'm out grabbing wood to take it inside, because I heated with wood. And this helicopter came buzzing over the hay fields behind us in the woods. And then it was so low to the ground I could look up and see their sunglasses. Absolutely no markings on the helicopter. And it just hovered there maybe 50 to 100 feet up above the cabin. It just hovered there. And they leaned over and looked down at me.
Shut up. You actually, they were looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They looked right at me.
So they're there intentionally. Was that the only time that has happened?
Yeah, that's the only time I can recall really a black helicopter getting that close. I mean, other helicopters fly by, but you know, you can't say everything is that type of a helicopter encounter.
Well, it's a very big country, Casper. It's a very big country, and if you got a black unmarked helicopter above your house and you look eyeball to eyeball to somebody, they are there because of you. They're not there for any other reason. It's a big country. And,
I think they were watching me. I had a weird encounter a year and a half ago through one of the forums with somebody, but they ended up resulting with them emailing me photocopies of, oh, God, I have notes, but I don't want to touch my computer.
It's okay.
There were the documents where, I want to say Johnson, but it might have been another president. You know, there were like documents that were done on like a Royal typewriter.
Okay.
And the font stuff. And I had a weird thing that went on with somebody like that. And then they emailed me some photos of dead aliens, which I have yet. And just before it, when Rita and I were confirming on email that I'm coming on the show, this guy contacted me out of the blue through email and wanted to know how I was doing. That sent me these documents. But the documents have already been online. So, I mean, it wasn't anything that hasn't been out there already.
What about the dead alien pictures? Were those anything that you had seen before?
Yeah, but there was a different angle. The camera angle was different.
Interesting. Send them to me. I want to see.
Well, I'll have to dig them up. Switch computers, but I'm pretty sure I have them on this hard drive.
Well, yeah. Just take care of that. I have a whole collection of images, and it's easy for me to compare and source them. And if it's something that I don't have in my database here that I haven't seen before, then we're on to something. So definitely send them to me. I'd like to check them out. When was your you've had a number of UFO sightings that you've witnessed.
Yeah.
Do you think, and I want you to tell me about a couple of those before we run out of time. Also, we got to take some phone calls, too, as well. So let's do that. I'm going to open up the phone lines, 323-825-5045, 323-825-5045. I've got 2 issues of Coming from Darkness. Did you sign these?
Yes.
Okay, so they're even autographed. Hold on, let me, oh, look at that. So, Patronauts, rock and rule. There you go. Okay, so I've got 2 autographed copies of Coming from Darkness, 323-825-5045. We have 10 minutes left with Casper, and we'll give away these 2 books. Okay. Do you think these downloads happened also during these sightings?
No.
How do you know that?
I don't believe they did. If they did, maybe they were stored in memory to come up at a certain time. Because I had an incident when I was in grade school, like maybe 2nd or 3rd grade, where I woke up one morning sitting in an alley looking up at Venus, and I had no idea how I got there. And it was, it was like February. I didn't see UFO. I was just there. The UFO sightings that I have posted online, you can find a link at my website, casperparks.com, to the forums where that one is posted. But there's actually 2 sightings that are posted in the same posting. But
okay,
yeah,
let's go to the phone lines. The lines are lighting up here. Hi, you're live on Faded Black. Who's calling?
Jimmy. Hey. It's Les.
Hey, Les. What's going on?
Nothing much, man. Casper, hi. I just wanted a chance to say hi, and it's a pleasure to actually meet you. Actually speak to you.
There you go. Casper, say hi to Les.
Hi, Les. Yeah, seen a photo of these, like getting a photo of Bigfoot. There's just not many out there.
Yeah, right.
I just had a quick question for Casper, if that's okay.
Yeah, go.
What made you, besides all your experiences, of course, what brought you to the point that have you always been a writer, or have you, did it inspire you like a muse to write? And I'll take my answer off the air. Thank you very much. Give the book to somebody else, Jimmy.
All right,
Love
thanks,
you
Les. You got it.
Bye.
Yeah, I've always wanted to write. But I struggle with my English and grammar. And when I was in grade school and high school and that, the teachers would go, "Oh, you're not writing no, that's not going to happen." And I think that the reason I had a problem with my grammar and things earlier, and with each book there's improvements. So I think that was to delay me from doing the writing until the time was right.
Do you find it easy
to write?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a problem. I just sit down and go. I write by the seat of my pants.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
And this is Tammy Jimmy. Hey, Casper.
Hey,
I have a couple of questions. One is about, you say that things come to you. I have similar things happen to me. When that happens, is it like a movie going on in your mind? Is that what you mean by the download?
If it's a movie, it's real. If you can call it a movie, I'd say it's like real fast because it's a matter of microseconds.
Yeah,
Okay.
that kind of happens to me. And the other one is, do you get stuck when you're writing? Like, I'm trying to write a book now, and I'm just at a point where I'm having a hard time finishing it.
I've walked away from books and gone back to them. Like the one I'm getting ready to finish up now, I have 70,000 words done on it, and I hope to round it off at 95,000. So when I get into it, I'm going to be doing some serious editing. So I'm 3/4 of the way through, but I'll set a book aside sometimes if I don't feel quite right. I'll set it aside, or I'll have something else that takes precedence.
My fight is within myself. Do I put down the stepmonster as she was, or do I kind of leave her out of it?
Thank you for the call, Tammy.
All right. Thanks, Casper. Bye.
Yeah, Casper, when you do reach that point where it's all come out of you and it's all done, is that what you have to do? Do you just walk away and wait for it to pick up where you left off?
Yeah. Like the book I'm getting ready to jump into next, I'm trying to force myself to deal with the business end right now, and that's not easy for someone who's creative. Sometimes I'll set something down and pick it back up. I prefer to write from start to scratch and try to get it done within 2 to 3 months, and then I might let it sit for years before I pick it back up again and do an edit.
Now, I have to ask you really quick before I let you go. I want to get back to these sightings. With each sighting that you've had, were they similar? Were the crafts similar? Were the lights similar? Or were each sighting different? What did you see?
Well, the one I saw in the summer when I was 14 and a half, both those two, which were like within a week to 2 weeks apart, they were the orange hazy white glow, kind of egg-shaped.
Yes.
Probably between like the size of a Volkswagen and a small pickup. They weren't like semi-size, but they were decent size, but they were close enough to throw a rock at. They were only above the water. One was above the shoreline because it was a small inland lake, maybe 8 feet at the highest above the water, and maybe 30 feet away, if that. There were 3 other people with me, so I wasn't alone on the one sighting. Then we called it in, and when I saw the second sighting, we called it in. Army came out, and all I got was kind of a dirty look from them. They didn't really talk to me, and they said it was an experimental helicopter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, okay, what about the next sighting?
That was the second sighting. And, the next sighting I didn't really see was a lady up in the cabin that saw it more than me. If I see a point of light in the sky moving erratically, I hesitate because it's... I think one of the guys from MUFON said this too, and somebody else did. If I can't look at it and go, that's a UFO, it's a point of light that's moving erratically, I'll look at it and go, good chance it's a UFO. We saw some stuff out in the desert years and years ago when we used to do these underground desert shows in the early 90s. And I think we saw a couple lights moving erratically up in the sky, but they were so distant, it was like a point of light. So you can't really... I think some of my encounters, when I was a kid, I used to get this where I was pinned down at night where I couldn't move. I was like paralyzed.
Yep.
And I used to get that quite a bit when I was younger. I used to suffer from it, not so much now because you age out of it. When I was a kid and all the way through my adulthood, even at the studio, I had this, but I didn't talk about it. Where I went to bed in a state of deja vu, and I woke up in it. It was never ending.
Oh, wow, that's weird.
Yeah, they seem to call it deja sente or deja vu. When the internet came around, I was able to research it a little bit. But as you get older, that fades. Some people say it's a disorder in the front lobe of the brain with like a memory time distortion.
Interesting. Can medication for something like that, or how does it end? Wow, that's weird.
It just kind of faded away. It comes back once in a while. Once in a while, I'll get it, and most deja vus last for people for a few seconds. Mine will last a few seconds to a few hours to a few days to a few years. But now that I'm older, if I get it, it's usually a few seconds. It might be a few minutes. But now that I don't have it as much as I used to, I'll still get it periodically, but it's intermittent. It's like part of me is missing because I was so used to living with it.
Where can everybody purchase your books and look at everything? Is it CasperParks.com?
Yeah, and if you go in there right now and you click in to the menu page and scroll down a little bit, there's a list for free ebooks right now, like Google Play, Barnes & Noble, iTunes. In that Amazon, I can't do free. It's 99 cents. You can ask Amazon to price match it, and they should.
Oh, price match free?
Ask Amazon to price match free. And this is the thing, is that when you're an independent author like myself, downloads are important and reviews are important because it moves you up in the algorithm.
Sure.
No doubt. So, yeah, it moves you up in the algorithm.
What about Coming from Darkness? Is that available right now on your website for free?
Yes, correct.
Man.
There's links off there. I did notice something on the Amazon that yesterday I looked at. I bought I realized I didn't buy the copy to look at it, and I bought the copy, and the tab settings are off at Amazon. I don't think they are elsewhere, but
you know what I find strange. I am not an ebook guy. Okay, I'm not. I need to have the book in my hand. I need to put on some reading glasses, and I need to get comfortable, and I need to read that way. I'm not an ebook guy. Rita, on the other hand, she's been doing ebooks since I met her. So she's always understood that technology and embraced it. I can't do it. I have to have books. So,
yeah, and the price I have set on the paperbacks are as low as what I can go, because that's print on demand, and that's price is set by the number of pages in the book.
Amazing stuff, Casper. You're a very, 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 very talented guy. And Coming from Darkness, I haven't got to the other stuff. I'll let everybody know I've got a lot of Casper Parks here to get to. But Coming from Darkness is an amazing read. Highly recommended. And thank you so much, Casper.
Thank you for having me on the show, and appreciate you and Rita reading the books, and I appreciate all the fader knots out there. Thank you for your support.
Man, you need to get into radio, man. You got pipes. I'll talk to you. Thank you so much, Casper. You have a great night.
All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Casper Parks, CasperParks.com. Casper Parks, and I'm telling you, Coming from Darkness is an amazing read, and it I don't know. I think Casper is he's dancing with me. Casper's dancing. Casper is a possessor of knowledge. He knows something. There's something about the read. It's writing like that comes from experience, and it's a crazy place. Casper Parks, thank you so much. This is Fade to Black. When I come back, we'll be joined with Mike and David Bara. Back right after this.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
Hey everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONsymposium.com. That's MUFONsymposium.com. Go Beckley Tepe.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air, to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight is Science Fiction Author Night, and that's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Casper Parks. I'm telling you, this book, Coming from Darkness, is it's nonfiction. Dave Bara was born at the dawn of the space age and grew up watching the Gemini and Apollo space programs on television, dreaming of becoming an astronaut one day, like all of us did back in the 60s. This soon led him to an interest in science fiction, especially on television. His early years were filled with episodes of Star Trek, Lost in Space, The Outer Limits, and The Twilight Zone, everything I still watch to this day. He began to read science fiction voraciously in his teens, with authors like Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, Frederick Pohl, Larry Niven, Jerry Purnell, Gordon Dixon, Joe Haldeman being amongst his favorites. And then through his college years, the Lightship Chronicles series began to take form. Dave's writing is influenced by many science fiction novels he has read over the years, but many of those books were Dune, Herbert, The Mote in God's Eye, Dorsai, The Forever War, and so forth. His current book is Impulse, The Lightship Chronicles, Volume 1, which is in stores now. His twin brother, Mike Bara, is a New York Times best-selling author, lecturer, and TV personality, appearing on Ancient Aliens, America's Book of Secrets, Hangar One, Uncovering Aliens, Aliens on the Moon. He's been on Coast to Coast AM many times and is a frequent guest right here on Fade to Black. And his most recent book is Ancient Aliens and Secret Societies. I'd like to welcome for the first time that we've had twins on the show, Dave and Mike Bara. How are you guys tonight? Okay, one at a time.
I'm good. I'm Dave. I'm good. Thanks, Jimmy.
How are you, Bara?
I'm awesome. I notice I think I have a better resume than him, so I think that I'm already won tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. He dropped Arthur C. Clarke in there, man, just for me. So there you go. Hey, both of you, Dave, welcome to the show for the first time.
Thank you.
And it is an honor. Thank you so much. I kind of want to start here because we have about an hour to spend with the both of you, maybe a little more. We have a lot to discuss tonight. But out of all of the authors that are listed here, Arthur C. Clarke to me sticks out the most, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But I've read not everything, but most of his stuff, and I find that compared to other science fiction authors, he is in a class by himself. And does he hit you that same way? And does he influence you directly? Because I think he does.
Yeah, I think he does, definitely. And, when I read his books, quite a few of them back in the day, but Childhood's End especially, which is going to be a miniseries on sci-fi this December, I think people will really see what a brilliant writer he was from that story. But Childhood's End was a start. Rendezvous with Rama was a terrific book.
Oh, yeah.
Also loved the follow-up to that, which is called Imperial Earth. And then, of course, the Rama sequels were pretty amazing. But, yeah, he's a tremendous influence. You can't help but read these really great masters of science fiction and not be influenced by how they write and how they tell a story and all that stuff. So, yeah, he's a pretty big influence, no question.
You know what was funny with me with the Rama series of books is I read them all probably 4 times, and I went back and I started reading them out of sequence. And but I didn't want those books to end.
Yeah.
They were really, really, really well done. And from a completely different mindset of any type of science fiction that came before it, it really stood apart. Now, but that's Arthur C. Clarke. We're here to talk about you. You know what though, childhood that was written so long ago. I heard an interview. Maybe about 2 weeks ago from 1958 with Arthur C. Clarke. And talking about Childhood's End, and 1958, and it is relevant today as it ever will be, and it probably would be in 20 years from now. Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be relevant for a long, long time until we actually do have contact with an alien race. You have to remember, Jimmy, that Dave isn't under the influence of narcotics tonight.
Yeah. You know what? I just thought about that. Everybody, this morning, we get up and the announcement is there that Dave Bara has kidney stones and he's on his way to the hospital. I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So, David, what happened this morning? Did you wake up to it? Is that how it happened?
Well, one of the interesting things is about 4:30 in the morning, I just woke up and I didn't have any pain, and then I rolled over on my left side, and it started. And I knew within about 10 seconds what it was because my dad has had them, my sister had them, and my brother has had them. And so I knew what it was. I'm like, well, I get to join the club now. So I went in to the doctor, and, they gave me all the painkillers and all that stuff. But the interesting thing the doctor said is that he said that 9 out of 10 people, for whatever reason, the pain seems to start around 4:30 in the morning. And I thought that was a fascinating statistic, something about our body's rhythms. The kidney stones decide to go traveling at about 4:30 in the morning. So that's something
wow, that's interesting.
I learned today.
Yeah, both of mine, my episodes, and there was about 10 years apart, were at about 8:30 in the morning. Yeah, that's when mine hit, 8:30.
Well, it's just what it is, and I mean, like I said, I've been glad to be excluded from this club up until this time, but now I guess I'll join it since everybody else in the family seems to have had it. I guess I get to join the club now and not to mention take it from there. Hopefully it won't be Yeah. I mean, Jimmy Church has had him too, so you're in very famous company. Right.
Yeah, man. It's the first time that it happened to me. I thought that I was dying. To be honest with you, I called Rita on the phone and I said I'm having a heart attack. That's what I didn't know. I was just having this insane body pain that I had never experienced before, and then I passed out. And so that's it. I thought I met my maker, man. The second time around, it wasn't as bad, but that first time, that was a life changer. It certainly was. Okay, so Dave, I know that you're probably heavily medicated at the moment,
as I always am when I'm on your show, Jimmy. So what the heck? Oh yeah.
So let's start here. Tell us about Impulse. And this is volume 1. So let's talk about that for a second.
Volume 1?
Yeah. What inspired the book?
Well, I've been inspired, of course, all my life by sci-fi, and Star Trek was something I thought was really interesting. But there's a book called The Mote in God's Eye that was written by Jerry Pournelle and Larry Niven, and that really spoke to me. This is a novel from Hugo-winning and Nebula Award-winning novel from 1975, and it's a terrific book. It's, I think, the best first contact book ever written, and that really inspired me. And so from there, I started developing outlines when I was in college about this future history. And the story of Impulse was basically, I knew at some point in my writing, I wanted to do a ship-based sci-fi story, something that took place on a ship. And so in this story, our young hero, a man named Peter Cochran, a young gentleman, gets his first assignment, and it's on a foreign ship. It's on a ship from another planet, another world, called the Impulse, HMS Impulse. And they go out into space, and they discover a former empire that had collapsed, perhaps is still alive. And there's a lot of action and adventure and a bit of romance thrown in, which I think all good space opera sci-fi stories need to have. That's the story of Impulse, basically, and it's. I won't give away any spoilers, but I think it's an action adventure. It's a sci-fi action adventure, and the second book is called Starbound, which is another ship, and he will be serving on that one. That book comes out in January, and I just turned it in a couple of weeks ago, and it's now in production to be made up into a full-fledged book, and that'll be coming out. That's volume 2, and the third volume will be called Defiant, and that will come out probably in early 2017 would be my best guess.
Do you ever consult with your brother on this stuff?
Rarely, because usually what happens is I'll have a great idea, and then Mike will come back to me 6 months or 2 years later and say, hey, that was my idea. And I'll say, no, dude, that was my idea. I thought that up. So I don't often consult with him on this stuff. We have more of a relationship where he understands everything that I do, and I understand everything that he does. But we don't really necessarily cross paths in that way. We do work together. We have a really great script that we wrote called Tripods, and it was written basically by me as a short story. And Mike read the story. He picked it up. He turned it into a screenplay, which has been floating around out there for a while, and is still available for any producers listening. That's right. But he took what I did and he just expanded it. He took it in places I never thought it could go. And so he made it better. So oftentimes I think what happens is that when we interact and when we work together, I'll have the essence of an idea, or Mike will, and then the other one will take it and they'll make suggestions, or they'll rewrite it or add to it, and it blows up and it gets better. So that's the amazing part of being twins, I think.
Well, I have to ask about that. What was it like growing up? Because both of you have gone in the same direction, but different, but the same direction. What was it like growing up together? Were both of you into the same things and, watching sci-fi together and discussing?
Yeah,
this?
we were into absolutely all of the same things. It was like we were two sides of the same coin in that way. And I think as we grew, I was always interested in being a science fiction writer. That was my goal. And Mike, I think, was more interested in how this applied in real life. And so that's kind of where our paths diverged. But
Mike, do you think you guys influence each other?
Oh yeah, and it's really actually it's a pretty intense experience. I mean, Dave's kind of short selling a little bit because, you know, I write fiction also, and I haven't got any of it published yet. And you know, I don't know. my psychic friend Denise tells me it's because I didn't want to beat Dave to the punch on that. So now that he's published, my fiction career can take off. But what happened with me is I'll get stuck maybe someplace in a story or trying to figure something out. How am I going to connect these two dots? And, you know, Dave and I will go take the dog, go take Barkley for a walk or something like that, or shoot some hoops. And it'll be a thing where I just bring up, you know, either the fact that I'm just in that mode where I'm talking to him, either I'll think of the answer or Dave will just say, dude, the answer's right in front of you. It's this. And it's kind of the same way. I mean, he's tapped into me a little bit on technology and things like that, hyperdimensional physics and so forth. I think he named his faster than light drive the Hoagland drive in honor of somebody we all may know. But basically, you know, in terms of his fiction, in terms of his story creation and stuff, I just stay out of it. And you know, I've been watching him put this together for the better part of 25 years and just kind of waiting for him to break through and finish it. And the thing is, Jimmy, when he finally just really finished it, it was immediately picked up and it was pretty much immediately published and in hardback, which never happens for a first-time author. So I want to get out there that I'm really super proud of my twin brother. And yeah, we do have a tremendous influence on each other. And I would say we are in alignment in our views of things about 99%, which is kind of weird, but yeah.
Well, Dave, I just had Casper Parks on the show, and he writes in bursts, and he writes quickly, and he also references he's been getting downloads that in these short bursts. He doesn't know where they come from. He thinks it may be off planet, but these downloads come to him, and he writes in bursts, and his books are thick and you know, just incredible amounts of work that come to him. For you, the book or Impulse was more like 25 years of fine tuning, or did the idea of Impulse come to you at one time?
I always knew. I mean, I knew from 20 years ago that I wanted to write a ship-based story. And I had this universe sort of built and planned out and outlined. And from that, the individual story, I didn't really know exactly what the story was going to be when I started. But absolutely, the universe lets you know what the story is about once you start writing it. And once you have the characters and you've got the setup, it tells you, you know, things just come out of the creative ether. And they don't... I never get stuck as a writer. A lot of people talk about writer's block. It never happens to me because I feel like the energy is coming from, you know, my subconscious, my consciousness from out there in the universe. And I feel like I'm here to tell these stories, and the universe just sort of sends that energy to me. And, you know, things turn out the way they do. And I think they turn out pretty darn well. It's very difficult to get published in any fiction field. Fiction's only about 30% of the number of books that are printed, and so it's pretty hard to get published. And I don't look at that as me being this super talented guy. I look at that as me being a guy that has this creative inspiration, and it comes from many sources, some internally and some externally. So.
Well, I always looked at writing like writing music, and when I write a song, that song is already done. In other words, it's done in my head, it's finished from beginning to end, and then I have a song. If I sit down and try to, you know, write a song, I go nowhere. It doesn't happen that way. I have to have the whole thing in my head from beginning to end, and then just sit down, and I found it really easy. When I had problems writing songs, it was because I was trying to write songs, and it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
Is it the same thing with writing? Do you just wait until it's ready, and then boom, it just all comes out?
No, honestly, I mean, there are times when I can sit there. I'll go into the shower in the morning, and I'll think about a scene that I want to write that day. Try not to picture that, by the way. And I'll just start thinking about it, and the energy comes, the story comes. So I think it's kind of when I set my intent, then to be creative, then that stuff comes. And other days when I'm busy with work or whatever, I don't necessarily go there. And so the pool of creative energy just kind of stays out there and waits for me to open my intent towards it, if you will. I think that's how I feel about it. But yeah, I think if you try to write something, like if I was trying to write something specifically for a specific market or a type of book, a type of genre, subgenre of science fiction or fantasy, I probably wouldn't succeed. It's when I let the creativity lead me that the results really happen, and the best results by far.
How do you deal with your character development? Do you have separate notebooks with each character and all the details on that character, or do you do that as you write?
I'm what they call a pantser, which is a seat of the pants writer. I don't go in with a lot of stuff. I do maybe a 2 or 3 page story outline. I kind of figure out who my characters are, and sometimes characters come to you as you write, but then I just sit down and start writing from chapter 1. Who do I want my hero to be? What attributes do I want him to be? I don't go into that. I feel like if you do that and you outline I know people that write 30,000 word outlines. That's a third of a book, just in outline form. I don't do that because that to me traps me within that block of story, and I want my mind to be able to be free to accept the different impulse, the different inspirations to go in different directions and maybe what I would have originally have set out as my intent.
Hey, that's an interesting way to go about it. I always thought that authors that to get into this extensive character development and they want to know and interconnect everything in the novels with family history, who they met previously, and they want to be able to connect that in the future and not make any mistakes. That, in the end, comes off kind of dry. Well, I think I lost Dave. Dave, are you there?
Yeah, it seems to be cutting out. It's a wonderful internet service. Exactly. Oh, no, there he is. There's Dave.
Okay. Oh, man. Dave, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Barely.
Okay, so
I'm here.
Do you think that that's a dry way of writing, that it ends up ultimately, to the reader coming, a little bit too technical and a little too precise?
Yeah, for me it comes across as mechanical, and I'm not a mechanical guy. And plus the fact as a creative, as a writer writing creative stuff, I want to be able to have the freedom to go, like I said, in a different direction if the story leads me there, if the inspiration leads me there, if my higher gods lead me there, guides lead me there. So yeah, I'm really open to that whole thing.
And here's the obvious question: does Mike read your stuff as you're working along and writing, and then maybe pops in and says, "You know what, Dave, this kind of sucks"?
Well, he would say that, but he doesn't really get into reading my stuff that often. He's a busy guy, he's got so much stuff going on, and he kind of lets me go over and do my thing, and he goes over and does his thing, and then we talk about it as time goes on. And he's not really someone I have to have feedback from. I kind of feel like this is, my path, and his is the other path, and his is a great path, and I love mine, and so we don't really go through that a lot. I do. Mike talked about his novel, which is called Lightbringer, which I think is a terrific book. I have no idea why it hasn't been picked up, but we talked a lot about during that process about different problems, but mainly what it was him talking and me giving him feedback, and him talking and me giving him feedback, and it kind of let him develop the story, but I was able to sort of maybe give him insight he didn't have before. So for the most part, when I'm writing my fiction, I'm doing it on my own, and then Mike and I collaborate on quite a bit of stuff, though, too. So.
Now, it sounds like you two guys get along, or is this an act? In other words, do you guys compete?
We're twins, Jimmy. We hate each other, and we're constantly competing. So, no, it's been a struggle because basically growing up, Dave was a backstabbing weasel. So no, I thought it was Mike. I thought it was Mike that was the backstabbing weasel. But maybe I have that wrong. But no, it's hasn't always been smooth and comfortable. It's like any relationship with siblings, but it's the deepest connection I'm probably going to have with another human being, because I don't know what it is. Like we talked about how alike we are and how many things that we like that are the same, and it's almost like it's a genetic code that's embedded in there. So there's always this thing that always brings you back, we're to the point now, though. I think we're in a point now where both our parents are gone and they've passed away, and we're kind of like the only family we really have. At this point, for me anyway, and so there's a lot of value in that. We've had a lot of history, and we've both managed to achieve certain things that not very many people get to do, and things we dreamed about for years. So that bonds us also.
Well, what are you going to do when Dave has a string of New York Times bestsellers, and you go into writer's block, and and now you've got issues between the two of you, and you know this?
I don't get writer's block either, James. I'll go back and write another nonfiction book. Those are easy. I never get writer's block for those.
Okay, duly noted. But Dave, what do you think about that? Is there a competition between the two of you? I honestly think there has to be. There's got to be something there driving the two of you, because you have a unique situation here. You're twins. You're both writers. You're both successful, and they're denying that there isn't competition between the two of you. I don't think we're going to buy that.
Right, there is competition, but it's different now than it used to be. I think it used to be, we used to feel like it was an either or.
Meaning what?
Well, like, either he won or I won, and I think now it's more of a thing where we both can support each other in winning in our own arenas. It's not like, if he has incredible success as a sci-fi writer, good for him, because in a lot of ways it's going to open doors for me, because we do work well together on a collaboration. Now when we're collaborating, we may be working on a scene or something, and it may drive me nuts that he's not getting what I'm trying to get at, and I might bite his head off. But basically, we're moving now more in the same direction together.
Now,
I'm back.
I got you, Dave. We're up against a break, but this has to be the truth. Did you guys, growing up, was it always two of everything? Christmas, birthdays, anytime any gifts were given or whatever, was everything in groups of two, and they had to be the same thing?
Yeah, for a long time it was, Jimmy. It took till we were, I think, in our teens when we started specifically asking to be treated as individuals before things started changing. So, but it was very much like that when we were kids. In fact, I think Mike can tell the story about when he got dragged into my class one day because we were wearing identical clothes, and the teacher saw him in the hallway. There's a really good story there, and we were about 4, and they finally had to ask our parents to dress us differently. So
and that was my next
there are
question.
quite a few things
And did your parents dress you guys up the same, and they thought that was cute, and you guys didn't really dig it?
It's horrific, James. Yeah, it's really, it's terrible. Yeah. It's a terrible story. Yeah, we were dressed alike for first 5 or 6 years, 7, 8 years maybe of our lives. I think, if I recall, David, that the school specifically asked, the elementary school asked our parents to start dressing us differently so we could be more easily identified, because there was an incident where his teacher literally dragged me on the hardwood floor with my hard-soled shoes. She just dragged me into her classroom when I kept saying, no, I'm not him, and she got in there and saw Dave sitting in his seat in the back of the room, and her mouth, or literally it was one of those literal jaw-dropping moments. And she didn't know we were twins. So after that, there was a request made that we be dressed differently, and it still didn't work. People still didn't know the difference between me and him. Yeah. So I finally had to had to go with the Paul Stanley, Kiss mop hairdo in high school, and that didn't even work.
Oh, that's funny. And you know what?
That did not work either.
We're up against a break, but did either of you ever go and maybe steal a candy bar at a store and blame the other guy? I'll be back right after this. Dave and Mike Bara.
He did.
On Fade to Black, I bet. We'll be back right after this.
Mike did, not me, man.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Are you a paranormal investigator, ghost hunter, or UFO skywatcher? If so, FNGinnovations.com has the product you definitely need in your investigations kit or go bag. Introducing the Morpholite Wide Beam Tactical Flashlights that put the light where you need it most. Traditional flashlights shine a focused round beam with limited line of sight in the dark. Morpholite Tactical Flashlights change all that, utilizing a revolutionary wide beam design to enable you to see safety hazards such as hanging wires and steel, pipes, and holes in the floor you just can't see with a focused round beam. In the field, where safety is paramount, a 180-degree beam increases orientation and peripheral vision in the dark. Morpholite flashlights are ideal for investigations in abandoned facilities such as houses and hospitals, factories, caves, and tunnels. Avoid those low-hanging tree branches that poke your eyes in the woods. Visit FNGinnovations.com to see a full line of tactical lights and accessories. That's FNGinnovations.com.
Now you can find all your favorite talk radio shows live, all in one place at TalkStreamLive.com. Listen from anywhere, office, home, or in your car. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com and click on one of the many live talk show hosts you want to listen to. It's free and easy. No computer? Download the smartphone apps. Never miss your favorite talk show. Find them all at TalkStreamLive.com.
Hey everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONSymposium.com. That's MUFONSymposium.com. Go Beckley Tepe.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony. Damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thanks to Casper Parks, who was on with us earlier. You can go to his website, CasperParks.com. And right now we have the twins, Dave and Mike Bara, with us. Dave, do you follow the subjects that Mike talks about, and that some of the stuff that we're about to talk about now? These images on Mars and the moon, and ancient aliens and ancient alien theory. Do you follow that?
Yeah, I follow it very, very closely. It's also great information for basing stories and getting ideas out of. There's no question in my mind, looking at the information that Mike has showed me over the years and the things I've kind of found just looking on my own. There's no question, if you take all of the anomalies in our solar system, on the moon, on Mars, even on Ceres now, There's no question in my mind that those things are real. There's no way that the hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of anomalies that are out there are all people seeing things in their own mind with their own imaginations. Those things are up there, and as far as I'm concerned, our space agencies, our governments have a lot of explaining to do about what they are and why they're there. And Mike's stuff has just been so revelatory for me over the years. Just some of the things he's figured out on his own, I'm just blown away by. He really has a fantastically sharp mind, almost as sharp as mine, but more scientifically oriented.
I gotta say, it's blowing my mind. I don't know who the heck I'm talking to. It is tripping. It's tripping me out, Dave. I know your brother. Your brother and I are really close. Okay, we hang out, and I know him really well. And I'm listening to you, and I don't know who the heck I'm talking to, man. It's messing with my head. Let's move on to this photograph that was published today by NASA. NASA's calling it the Lonely Mountain. Mike, I know you've seen it. Dave, have you seen this image that was published today?
Dave? Just briefly, I've been a little busy today, but yeah, I have seen it, yes.
Okay, Dave.
I'm here.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Always
Always
remember, Dave, silence in radio is the kiss of death. And there we go. Okay, so Mike.
It's the cable company. I'm not going to mention who they are. It starts with a C and they suck. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
Well, that could be Century or Comcast.
Yes, so that we're not going to get sued for being specific, being too specific. So yeah,
there you go. I lost Dave again, and I'm going to bring him back in. Here we go. All right, Dave. I'm assuming you're there. Dave, you saw the image today. Mike, you saw the image. I at the beginning of the show, my blood was amped up on this image. I truly think it's one of the most, if not the most, extraordinary and important image that we have seen yet to date. Mike, what do you think you're looking at when you look at this image?
Well, I'm fascinated by it. I'm looking at it right now. I've done some enhancement work on it. I'm going to tell you one thing right off the bat. This image has been altered. We are not looking at the real thing. NASA has done something to this, whether it's part of the orthorectification process or whether they have deliberately altered some of this stuff to remove some of the data, to remove artifacts. They've done something to this image. This is not a clean image of this thing. And there's definitely some issues at the very top in the middle. There's some blurry areas there. There's areas where there's less detail. Setting that aside, it is extremely strange. And these grooves that go up, it reminds me, the only thing I can really think of that it reminds me of is Devil's Tower in Wyoming, which of course was famous from, Close Encounters. But these vertical striations that go up are very bizarre. There's some horizontal structures going across. There's something that looks like an H on one of the faces of it. And then you have the very clear cratering and stuff on top. Notice, guys, if you're looking at the image, notice how clear the craters are around the mountain, and then how blurry the slope of the mountain is. And then again, how clear it is at the top, even though there's some definite distortion. And there's just some stuff going on there, Jimmy. You got the reflectivity, the albedo factor, which is really, really high, and it is kind of inexplicable to me. So, I'm looking at this, and it looks like a glass cone with vertical beams supporting it. But it could be natural. Stewart's the guy to ask on that, not me. But it doesn't look very normal to me.
When you look at the okay, we've got Dave back again. Dave, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
When you look at the mountain that is directly below it at 6 o'clock, that almost looks like it was cut and pasted and placed there. I don't want to suggest anything, but it is perfect. It is defined, and then what's directly it just looks photoshopped to me. Do you have that same impression?
Me or Dave?
Mike.
Yeah, no, I have the same impression. And you zoom back a little bit, and you have crystal clarity. It's sharpened to crystal clarity everywhere else, and And that's actually a crater, by the way, Jimmy. It's not a mountain. It's just it's an optical illusion. But you have this thing, you have this structure that's very interesting, that's conical, that could be a cinder cone, but there's all kinds of issues with the clarity of that, and there's everything else is just absolutely sharp as can be. And that's, again, the telltale sign that something funky is going on with the imaging. This is the kind of thing that we've seen repeatedly with the face on Mars when images have been taken by NASA compared with images taken by other space agencies, by like the ESA, the European Space Agency. Their stuff, it's not as good a resolution, but it's better quality. And, you know, again, the face on Mars with NASA's images always seems to have these really odd, blurry parts to it where there's literally no detail, and you're kind of wondering, well, gee, I wonder what was so interesting about that area that they had to blot it out with a blur tool, which is what looks like happened to this thing.
It looks to me, and the audience, if you want to see what we're talking about, you can do two things. Go over to Twitter, hashtag F2B. You'll see it there. It's been posted. Mark Dunbar, I'll ask you really quick, repost the image again so I can get it back out there. I've retweeted it a bunch of times. And you can also go to our Facebook page, and you can also go to the NASA .gov page. It is there, too, as well. It's called The Lonely Mountain. If this image, which is 4 miles high, if this image was taken here on Earth, it would be extraordinary. And here we have it out, you know, on series. And I don't want to downplay what we're looking at. To me, it looks either like metallic panels. It definitely looks cone-shaped. Or, and I don't want to go there because of the H-Man and other claims that, Mike, you and I don't agree on, which is fine, you know, about, you know, glass structures out there. But then when we have something like this looks like glass panels to me, and it looks deliberate. Am I wrong in looking at it like this?
No, you're wrong about not looking at the stuff on the moon like that. Oh, that's what you're wrong about. Well, the thing is, look, again, glass is an ideal material to use in the construction of buildings on worlds that don't have a thick atmosphere, because what it will do in a vacuum is it gets very, very strong. About as strong as steel, if not stronger. There's been some papers that have shown it to be about twice as strong as steel. As long as there's not any moisture in the glass, it becomes extremely rigid and very, very, very tough. So it makes an awesome meteor shield. So that certainly, you know, isn't outside the realm of possibility for this particular object, and it's consistent with stuff that we've seen elsewhere in the solar system. And you know, why the heck is it so bright? Why is that spot in the crater on Ceres, those two spots, why are they so geometric and bright? I mean, it's as big as Las Vegas, that other bright spot. So again, they just don't make any sense. They seem to glow in the dark. I'd be real interested to see if this mountain glows in the dark. The face on Mars, which I know categorically is an artificial structure, glows in the dark in infrared. And they all seem to be very consistent. So the question is, what are they building? Are they building these things out of crystal or some sort of glass? I don't know, but it certainly could be a glass-like material or glass itself that's being used in the construction of something that's an artificial office park. I don't know. 4 miles high is pretty big. You could put a whole city in there.
Yeah. I suggested that earlier too as well. It looks almost like it could be the entrance to the Louvre in Paris or something in Las Vegas. It looks sensational. And the other issue that I have is if it is crystalline, if it is salt, why aren't there other structures around it?
I'm sorry, salt. Well, okay. To answer that question, you know, I would agree with you, Jimmy, that basically you have to have, to my mind, you have to have other artificial structures around an artificial structure, or the odds are you know you're not looking at something artificial, because that's kind of, you know, you wouldn't build one monument all by itself in the middle of nowhere in general. You would build things in groups or clusters. You would build cities together. So to me, that's always been a factor that really increases the possibility of something being artificial, is the fact that you've got other structures or apparent structures around it. In this case, we don't have that. I said before, it kind of reminded me earlier before we got this resolution of a cinder cone, which is a type of volcano on Earth, very like the little mountain next to Mount Shasta. If you've ever been through there, is definitely a conical shape, but it has so many unusual characteristics that it kind of falls out of that category for me. And you've got the fact that there's nothing else around it that appears to be artificial. So then what you have to say is, okay, why would that be? The next question for me is, what is Ceres? Is Ceres an asteroid? No, it's not an asteroid. It's in the asteroid belt, but it's a spherical object. Spherical objects are either planets, dwarf planets, or moons. And what I think Ceres is it was a moon of a planet that used to exist in the orbit of the asteroid belt that has somehow survived. And what you're looking at is this incredible pockmarking, this incredible battering that it's taken out there from whatever the destruction of that planet, however that event took place. And this is one of the few things on Ceres that has survived that cataclysmic event. So I think that's what we're talking about when we look at this. And that's why we don't see other stuff around it. It's all been obliterated. And somehow this guy, by pure luck, kind of escaped that fate.
Why is it with Ceres that we are having one anomaly after another? At what point do we just... certainly with NASA too as well, and other scientists stop and say, okay, now we've got something unique. There is something going on Ceres. We don't see this on Mars. We don't see this on Jupiter. We don't see this on Saturn. We don't see this on Neptune. We don't see this on Venus. We don't see this on Mercury. We don't see this on our own moon. It's one thing after another that's going on Ceres. At what point do we stop and go, okay, you know what? There's something going on Ceres.
Well, I disagree with you. We don't see it on the moon and we don't see it on Mars, but that's a discussion for another show. But, Ceres is important, apparently. This is why we went there, I think, because it is a moon of this other planet, and that because there was an extremely advanced civilization in this solar system, God knows how long ago, that built all this stuff. And maybe it was multiple civilizations. Maybe several civilizations rose and fell, and maybe they were humanoid, or maybe they were saurian, maybe they were, different types of species, but they built this stuff, and some of it has managed to survive through all of the terrible, terrible things that the solar system has endured in its history, which I, of course, lay out in all my books.
Well, you and I can debate this right now. Let's go. Put on your gloves, Mike. Let's go.
All right.
Hey, Dave, okay. Dave, enjoy the moment, okay?
Yeah, okay. Got it.
Mike, I have no problems with some of the images on the moon showing some strange blue
bright
smoke.
Lighted cities, very similar to this. Okay.
But let me finish. There have been some really interesting images of the moon, stuff that you presented and others, and stuff that we have seen in the Apollo official NASA photograph. There have been things there. Yes. Intriguing. Yes. Raise an eyebrow. Absolutely. Interesting. Yes. Could there be? Yes. But nothing has been as definitive as what we are seeing on Ceres. We haven't seen a photograph of a frigging glowing moon crater with a glowing city the size of Las Vegas in the middle of it. That we haven't seen. And we don't have photographs like this crystalline mountain 4 miles high. If we had something like this on the moon, then absolutely. We'd be having the same discussion about what's going on the moon. But we don't. I think that this what's going on Ceres is as important as anything else. I wish we had a glowing crater on the moon like we do in Ceres. I really do.
Okay, well, what I would tell you is that we do have glowing cities. Cities of light that look like very similar to this in Sinus Medae on the moon, which I've put in my book Ancient Aliens on the Moon, and there's been other books that I've written. We do have these incredible structures on the surface of the moon. We have mountains that appear to have been completely, resurfaced, and condos were installed, and people apparently went and lived there underneath these massive glass domes. And we also have, we have stuff like flying saucers, kind of like the picture I just tweeted. up to F2B. So it's like, there are all of these kinds of things. I'm not arguing with you that this is different, or it's an anomaly, or it's really important. All I'm saying is, to me, it's not exceptional. Ceres is not exceptional. It is definitely, another important waypoint in the argument that this whole solar system is littered with the artifacts of some ancient extraterrestrial civilization. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I'm looking at your the flying saucer in the crater images that you have presented before. Absolutely intriguing. It's absolutely incredible. Totally incredible. Okay.
I sense a butt monkey coming.
No.
When's the butt coming?
There's no. Well, all I'm trying to say is, and again, I've got an echo coming from one of you. One of you has speakers on in the background. I suspect it's Dave. I could be wrong. Dave, do you have your headphones on?
I do, but I just muted myself. See if that helps at all.
There we go. It's still there. Okay. But no, Mike, what I'm saying is this image of a 4 mile high, which, it doesn't fit. If this was a NASA, I heard today that it was salt. Okay, 4 miles of salt.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Lot's wife. We've discovered Lot's wife. She's turned into a 4 mile high pillar of salt on Ceres.
Well played. Why wouldn't there be other smaller salt mountains around this? Why would
there would, James? There would. Your reasoning is completely correct. There'd be little spots of big salty deposits, that would look like little spots scattered all around it. It's not salt any more than the extremely bright packed stuff on the infrared images of the face on Mars was snow. That was Philip Christensen's explanation. So that's all just sort of NASA baloney. And the thing is, you notice the way they word these things typically is they don't actually say, oh, it's definitely salt. They say, well, scientists suspect it's salt, or scientists think it could be salt, or this or that. And, that's just basically so that when people on space.com put something out there, they say, well, it's salt. And then everybody thinks that that's what NASA is explaining or claiming that it is. They're not. They're not saying what it is. They're throwing out some vague speculation, but their vague speculation is no more legitimate than our very specific speculation. In fact, it's less so because there's just not a lot to support that. But
help me out here, Mike. How unique would salt be in the universe?
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be unique, but the question is, where do you find it? Under what circumstances? Why is there salt on Ceres? If Ceres is this dead, exposed world, why do we have salt on Ceres? I don't know. Usually where you have salt is because you used to have salt water. I've gone out on a limb and predicted that if we ever land in Valles Marineris on Mars, we're going to discover that there's tons of salt in the soil because there was an ocean that flowed back and forth between the two tidal bulges of that planet. So, again, to me, sodium implies that there is water, or there was water there at one time. And if there was water there, then what the heck happened to it, and what the heck happened to Ceres? And if you go down that route, you go down that road, you're going to open up all kinds of questions like, was this place ever habitable?
That's right.
I don't want to answer that.
And I could be wrong here, and Dave, you can jump in too. I may be wrong in this, and I'm not a scientist, and I'm not an astronomer, and I don't have that background. But one thing I do have an issue with, to my mind, I don't ever remember having anybody from NASA or any space agency or any astronomer say that there is salt on Mars, on Jupiter, on the moon, on Mercury, on Venus. I don't remember anybody saying that. And if they're saying that this is salt now, then this is important. Am I wrong in saying that? I don't remember ever hearing salt being on another planet or on a meteorite coming in.
I think it's very important, and I think that the fact that NASA is just sort of putting this stuff out there is very much how they fulfill their requirement, I think, to disclose the truth, but they disclose it without really telling you the whys. And they throw it out there that there's sodium, on Ceres and or whatever. And the fact is I think they are disclosing the truth about these things, but they're not telling you what's behind it, the real story. And like Mike says, it just sort of becomes this, it's salt. And but that doesn't explain anything about what it really looks like or what it really is going on there. But I do agree with Jimmy on one thing, and that is I think that Ceres has become, it's pretty hard for them to get around certain things like those bright spots, which look to me very much like it's an underground facility of some kind that is fully operational. And that the light source and the heat source is coming from within the planet, or whatever they call it, the dwarf planet. No question in my mind about that. And someday this would make, I bet the true story of what's gone on in our solar system would make a tremendous science fiction novel someday to tell a story of what's actually gone on and is going on right now around us.
I thought it was Mike talking the whole time.
Well, there you go.
Very impressive, Dave. Hey, well, Dave, in all of your research,
right,
and all of your scientific reading over the years, do you remember any references to salt being on another celestial body ever?
I think the only thing, not in any non-fiction form, I think there was speculation about stuff, but no, I don't think there's been anything. Salt is not something they talked about. They've talked about, carbon and organic material and things like that, but I'm trying to remember the moon of Saturn that has organic material on it.
Titan.
Is it
Titan? It's Titan. And also, there's been discussions about saltwater oceans on Europa and that sort of thing. But
that's right.
Under the ice.
Yeah, under the ice.
And which we can't confirm yet, but it looks like those are massive saltwater oceans. And also, what's really funny about that? It was Arthur C. Clarke that said Europa.
Right. Absolutely. I think, getting back to Arthur C. Clarke, I don't think there's any question that he was privy to some rather esoteric information, because he's talked at length and written at length about things that I don't think he really could have. I don't know what he would be basing his guesses on, but he's been so eerily accurate about things that we've discovered as we've gone out into the solar system.
Well,
I definitely feel like he's someone who had information being fed to him from other sources that perhaps knew what was a bit more about what was really going on or had really gone on in the past.
Well, let's not mince words here. Arthur C. Clarke is batting 1,000.
Yes, he is. Yeah, you're right.
100%. And when I have actually thought in my own polluted mind that Rama and that series was probably exactly how it's going to go down.
Well,
I'm being serious too.
Do you remember that? Do you remember the odd-shaped comet a couple years back? I can't remember the name. Mike probably knows the name, but basically it looked like an X or a cross of some kind with a comet.
Yeah, that was like actually an asteroid that was an object in the asteroid belt that was shaped like an X. Yeah,
and that to me implies some sort of artificiality. How do we know that a Rama type object hasn't already come through our solar system just like that, and they're simply not telling us about it? I mean, how do we know that? I don't think we do know.
No, well, we wouldn't unless they tell us, because we wouldn't know. No, we only know what we're told.
Yeah, and Jimmy, the other thing about that object, and Dave, I remember that X-shaped thing really clearly, but the other thing about that's really, really, really strange is that you guys remember the original Fantastic Four movies that came out with Jessica Alba and a few people like that? Remember those two movies?
Michael Chiklis is the
was the thing, and there was the second film was with the Silver Surfer, and they showed the scene where the military comes and informs the Fantastic Four that there's this object approaching, and they show a picture, and I've got the picture. They show a picture, and this was a good year before this X-shaped thing appeared in the asteroid belt. they show a picture to Reed Richards of what this thing is, and it's, of course, a Silver Surfer, but it's this X-shaped object with a tail on it. The picture is literally almost exactly the same thing as what we saw a year later. And so it's like, Jimmy, what are they doing? They're to me, things like that are not coincidence. I'm going to try to dig the picture up if I can, but it's just not a coincidence that they did that. It was planted in the movie, and I'm just trying to think, okay, what is the actual reason behind it? And I don't know, but there's no question in my mind that these things are not coincidence.
Man, I'm having so much fun with you two on the show. Let's take our last break, and we'll roll into the fourth quarter here. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Right now, the twins are here, Dave and Mike Bara. I'll be back right after this short break. Stay with us.
You are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Attention, all Fade or Not. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's JimmyChurchRadio.com, Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
Hey, everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONSymposium.com. That's MUFONSymposium.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Science fiction author night with a little nonfiction thrown in. Thank you to Casper Parks. We have Dave and Mike Bara with us. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Do follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, and we're posting all of these pictures that we are discussing in the Twitter feed, which is hashtag F2B. Mike's even posted a couple of pictures there. Mike, what did you think about these the 3D image of the canyon that India just posted? Did you get a chance to study these?
Yeah, I looked at it. I mean, it's very impressive. It does look mostly like natural terrain to me. But what I think is interesting is that the way they color these things, where they put the blue there in the bottom, and it's almost like they're subliminally trying to tell us this was formed by water. And it's really interesting to talk about geologic layers and stuff, because layering is the easiest way to form layering is to have the sloshing of water back and forth on the edge of a cliff or a canyon like that, and that's how you're going to get these geologic layers. So, to me, it's pretty interesting, but it does look fairly natural. I'm curious what it is about it that you loved so much, besides the square thing right where they draw right where they put the arrow.
You want me to tell you what I love about it is that They went up there with no money, with pocket change, and they're sending back these incredible 3D images, and all we do is dump money into low res, crap that comes back.
Yeah,
that they leave us to analyze for ourselves, and then India comes back with this. Why haven't we been doing this for the last 30 years?
Well, that's a good question, and one I wish I had a good answer to. It took so long to get these missions there. Now, of course, we have the benefit of a lot of technology that we didn't have back in the early 1990s, and to me, Jimmy, that's not so much the tragedy that we have had not as many probes there and with not as good of cameras. It's just that we haven't gotten honest images. That's what really makes me disappointed as an American is the fact that we haven't really gotten good images. And we talked about some of the things tonight, some of the problems with some of the stuff of the face on Mars, and just the different political manipulations that have gone on. And you go to my blog or you read any of my books, and you can just see I take you through all the different times that NASA has basically just lied, deceived, misdirected people on this question, and it's like it's completely the opposite of what their mission was supposed to be, at least publicly what their mission is supposed to be.
Why do you think they manipulated the color of Mars? The red sky and the red atmosphere when it's not that.
That one, I think they want to make Mars look like an alien planet and not look so hospitable, and that way they're not going to get questions. When they say, "Oh, it's a cold, dead planet. Look, it's so weird. It's got a red sky and red rocks." I think then people aren't going to push them to answer the question of, well, geez, why isn't there? Is there life there? Is there not life there? I mean, if it looks like Arizona, which is what Mars really looks like, you're going to get a lot more questions. Well, did you find anything there? And maybe these funny maybe this crab thing. Remember the crab in the hole in the cavern?
Absolutely.
From a couple of weeks ago. Maybe they get more questions. So I think it's really that this is sort of the way that they want to do their Mars exploration. They want to just keep the questions and the pressure to a minimum. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. Even the covers of my Mars books are pretty red, when the planet's really not that red. It's really more of a dull tan kind of color.
Have you seen the Star Destroyer images?
Yeah, I saw the Star Destroyer, yeah.
And what do you think?
I think it's extremely interesting, and it's something I've got to dig into a lot deeper, but I just haven't had a chance yet. So all I can tell you is, I've seen it. I think it's really interesting. I don't really know what it is, but I'm going to keep looking. And again, I'd refer people to like the exclusive Mars Images group on Facebook, which just every day they put out stuff that just blows me away. They're just I can't. I'm overwhelmed with how good these guys are at finding things in the pictures, and Mars is just littered with artificial stuff and fossils, and it's a fascinating place. We got to go there. We got to go there soon. So,
how big do you think that object is in the destroyer shot?
I don't really have any way to estimate it. I wouldn't even take a wild guess at that. But even if it's only as big as a basketball, it's something worth digging into as possibly artificial, right?
Well, I'm posting it now. Oh, hold on for a second. No. I lost. Oh, geez. Okay, great. I have, you're not even going to believe this. I have lost my email. Just stay with me for a second.
Ooh.
It's not that big of a deal if I can get to...
So I'm not the only one having technical problems tonight.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but you're the biggest problem, pal. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the pictures of the X-shaped object to fade to black that Dave was talking about earlier, and I'm also going to post the screen cap from the Silver Surfer film. And you guys just look at them and tell me if you don't think that one is a precursor to the other. I sure do. So let me add photos here.
Yeah, I can't even believe I'm doing this in real time here. Okay.
This is the best part of radio, is listening to people post stuff on the internet.
Now, let me interject with something here. I'll tell a quick little story while you guys are figuring this out. In one of Mike's books, I think it's The First Ancient Aliens on Mars, there's a picture from Pathfinder where he talks about a Sphinx-like object that's on the ground, basically at the foot of this mountain or hill.
The Twin Peaks, yeah.
And when I was at that photo many years ago, one of the things that struck out to me, and I work in engineering, I work with 3D projection, I see things differently that some other people just can't see. And I was looking, and what I saw, honestly, was what I called the road to Damascus. And it looks to me like an elevated roadway that literally runs up and down the mountain in switchbacks, just like you would on a regular road. Runs all the way up the side of that hill, and it's just an example of one of those things that when you really look at these photos and you don't take NASA's explanations for granted, there's stuff that jumps out that is just, as I said.
And it leads right up, the road leads right up to a row of condos that are carved into the side of the mountain. And by the way, folks, welcome to Fade to Black with Mike Bara. My guest tonight is Dave Bara, my twin brother. And, again, that image is in the first Mars book, Ancient Aliens on Mars, and it's been on the internet. And again, take them down, play with them yourselves, use some Photoshop, see what information you can extract out of them. Because there's, like you say, Dave, there's incredible stuff everywhere, all over these images.
I just retweeted, and everybody else is too right now. It just went seriously out into the Twitterverse. The X-shaped object. That's pretty trippy to look at.
Well, and you look at that and you see that the Fantastic Four film, which came out like over a year before, and it's showing this image, and it literally, the coloring and the shape and the trailing thing, I mean, it's basically, to me, trying to like warn us that this thing is coming, and that, the Silver Surfer was an intelligent being. So are they trying to say that this object was actually piloted by intelligent beings? I mean, is that the hint they're trying to give us? And you want to get even weirder. Let's go even weirder down this conspiracy road and the links with film and television. Did you ever see a movie called Wag the Dog? Jimmy,
absolutely,
okay.
love it.
And so there's this scene in the movie where they show newsreel footage of the president's sex scandal. Right, he's they show this gray-haired president from behind, and he's hugging this young girl on a rope line, and she's got a blue beret on, and you're like, oh, hey, it's Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. There's no question that's what it is. Here's the problem: Wag the Dog came out a year before the Lewinsky scandal broke. Nobody knew who Monica Lewinsky was. Nobody knew that footage existed. And yet, and somehow, in December of 1997, I believe, they actually put it into a Hollywood film and released it to the public before everything ever broke. And we all saw that footage, that exact same footage later on in, I think, August or September of that year. So again, Jimmy, they're just messing with us. They're effing with us. They're doing this stuff right in our faces. And we're either not making the connections or we're passing it off as some kind of coincidence. And again, I'm just going to warn you, it's not a coincidence. You got to pay attention to these things because they're trying to tell us stuff.
Well, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say one of the things about this X-shaped object, just to kind of close the loop on that, is, when we talked about the book Rendezvous with Rama, this to me could be a Rama type object, that there's something that's passing through our solar system, and I think we probably have the means and the ability to go out and investigate it, and I'm sure that we did. But this is something that I think could potentially fit that type of scenario.
Rita, tweet out the destroyer image that I just sent you, and let's get that one up there, because when I look at this, and I just saw a couple of tweets come through talking about this anomaly, and if that is natural now, it reminds me of the Japanese underwater formation off the Japanese coast.
Oh yeah, in Yonaguni.
Yonaguni.
Yeah.
Okay, which I don't think is natural, and I think.
Well, no, it's not. Jimmy, there's another thing. Let's go back to Yonaguni again. There was a History Channel show in like the year 2000 about Yonaguni. And some people have continued to maintain, bless their hearts, that, Robert Schoch says it's natural, so it must be natural. But they actually dove that area themselves. The History Channel did, and they found a sculpted Mesoamerican headdress face carved into the rocks right next to it. And they found another face that had eye sockets and everything carved into the rocks right around Yonaguni. So there's no question that there was a civilization there. But people still, it just amazes me somehow that people don't make these connections. And in fact, as far as I know, the only 2 pictures of these things on the internet are the screen caps that I did with what was called a snappy back in the day. So again, there's stuff out there, guys. You have to keep digging and put it together, and then the picture becomes clear.
Now, Mike, go to the FTB feed.
Okay.
Okay, I just hit it.
Oh, yeah, the Star Destroyer. Yeah.
Tell me, why would somebody say that's natural?
I don't know. You'd have to ask somebody like Stuart like that. Again, I think that's something you could pick up and hold in your hands. It would be about the size of a laptop, judging by the distance from the rover and how the cameras work. I'd say it's about that size. But again, you can clearly see that this is a, faceted, angled kind of object. It looks like it might be hollow or shelled out inside. That's a characteristic of an artificial object, an object that's been machined or constructed. Actually, based on the color, it looks like it's made of carbon fiber. I mean, I'm not saying that's for sure, but that's what it looks like. It's got a couple of layers. It's absolutely, to me, looks like something artificial. And why would somebody say it was natural? Because there's a thing called cognitive dissonance. And there are some people that just really, really want to believe in their own model of the universe, and they just aren't willing to accept what their eyes are showing them.
It's also, just to chime in here, it's also, if you look, it's very obviously completely different color and made of a completely different material than everything around it. And that makes it easy to identify as something that's very anomalous. I mean, it doesn't look anything like a natural rock to me.
Even Stu would look at this and say, okay, you've got something interesting. Stu, I understand Stu's way of looking at things. And what's that word that he always uses? Pareidolia.
Pareidolia, which is not, in fact, folks, it's not a real word. It doesn't even exist. There's no such thing. Go to my blog. Go to my website, mikebara.blogspot.com, or just type in "there's no such thing as pareidolia, Mike Bara." It'll come up. I explain the whole thing. Okay, and that's it. That's my last word on it.
But But we need guys like Stu to keep the crazy in check. I
agree 100%. But when you fall back on everything with just by using this buzzword that doesn't even mean anything, I mean, that's like saying extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. That was Carl Sagan's thing, that was his mantra. And guess what? That's not a scientific philosophy or a scientific axiom. It's a t-shirt slogan. It doesn't mean anything. That's not true. So, extraordinary claims do not require extraordinary proof. They require the same standard of proof as anything else. It's ridiculous.
And the reason why it doesn't apply here, Mike, is what I'm saying is we're not seeing something else here. We're not seeing a face. We're not seeing something that we can relate to. We're just seeing something that is artificial.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, the other day I posted a picture to a friend. I think it was on Instagram or Twitter. And it was, somebody posted a little meme that said, how you know your dog loves you. And in one little corner, there's a dog's little face looking up at the camera all happy. And then you see in the background on the carpet, he's pooped in the shape of a heart. Okay. As an example, the fact that we recognize that as a heart is not because we have some sort of mental illness that makes us think things are shaped like things that they're really not shaped like. It's because the little poop actually looks like a heart, okay? So again, when you look at the face on Mars, why did we think it's a face? Because it looks like a face, because it has a nose and it has nostrils and it has a mouth and it has brow ridges and it has eye sockets and tear ducts and pupils. That's why we think it looks like a face. So this concept, this idea that we just make stuff up in our heads, it's not supportable. Sorry, that was a long tirade. Sorry.
No, it's fair. How do I want to say? I want to say this in a nice way. If somebody says Jesus is in my pancakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or takes a picture of it. All right, well, it's something that looks like Jesus in your pancakes. Cool. Right?
But the point I'm making.
this isn't Jesus and pancakes.
The point I'm making is, though, Jimmy, is that people think it looks like Jesus because guess what? It looks like Jesus. You know, it's. I mean, have you ever seen? There's a picture of Jesus. There's a tornado that struck a church or something or a town, and there's this picture of this formation that looks like Jesus in his robes reaching down to the town, you know, to retrieve the souls or something. I'm sorry, that's exactly what it looks like, and I think that's an authentic photograph. I don't think that one's been faked. But you know, again, the whole point is, at what point do you just say, "Geez, you know, it does look like Jesus in a pancake."
Jeez.
Doesn't mean it is Jesus. It doesn't mean Jesus is sending you a message through your pancakes, but it does look like Jesus.
Yeah.
I think the Shroud of Turin looks like Jesus, but, you know, I mean.
Is it real?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I think it is. You know, I think the most fascinating theory on the shroud, which is unfortunately one that never really gets talked about. There was a great book by Christopher Knight and Robert Lomas who did The Hiram Key and Uriel's Machine. They're a couple of Masonic scholars. And they believe it's a cloth that was wrapped around Jacques de Molay, who was beaten and tortured, the head of the Knights Templar, who was beaten and tortured by the Catholic Church back in the day. And they go through a whole series of logical extensions for what would have happened to his body after the torture and the beating that he took, and how he was wrapped in this cloth, not necessarily dead yet, and how his body would have extruded certain chemicals that, if you then took the cloth and stored it in a shelf somewhere for hundreds of years, would create an imprint. And I think that's a really fascinating story. But then there was a show on I think it was History, you know, on the Shroud of Turin, where they did a 3D recreation, and it sure looks a heck of a lot like what you would expect Jesus to look like. So I don't know.
Well, it's been around for a long time. That's the thing. It's not modern technology.
It's not a forgery. It's not a forgery.
Really clear. Just to chime in here as the former Jesus guy here. It clearly, well, I'm not former, but it's like I'm not where I was 20 years ago. But it really is clearly an image, and modern science does not know how it was made. So at that point, you pass from the physical into perhaps the metaphysical. And if we don't know how it was made in the 21st century, how did they forge it in the 2nd century or the 1st century or the 13th century? I don't think there's any way. So it is, in my mind, it is completely authentic, simply because you cannot
duplicate it.
Tell us how it would be created. Even in the modern day, how would you make something like that? And science cannot tell you that answer, how they would do that.
Yeah, so. The only issue that I have, I don't know how we got off on a Shroud of Turin.
No, I brought it up because I brought it up. I suck.
But I think it's authentic. I just think it's 1,000 years old authentic. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Man, I just offended half of the audience. But look, my point is, I think it was an accident. I think it was a crazy thing that happened, but I don't think that it's a 2015-year-old relic. That's my gut feeling. I just think it's a modern accident. It's 1,000 years old. It's 1,500. When did it first surface?
Yeah, and that would put it in the time frame of it being not a burial cloth, but a cloth they would have wrapped Jacques de Molay in. So it makes
around the 13th century.
Yeah. So that would put it in that time frame if in fact that carbon dating is correct. And there are issues. The Christians are not wrong to bring up the fact that there are issues with carbon dating. So, you know.
Yeah. When did the Shroud of Turin show up? 13th century.
Well, no, it was actually, I think it was in the 17 or 1800s. It became like a big artifact in the city of Turin, but I'm not positive. I could Wikipedia that and let you know.
But that's my point. That's how old it is.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't. I think it's older than that. I think it. You know, it was not something that was. It was discovered later than it was. In other words, it had already been around for a long time, and I think that we're talking about several hundred years before it was publicly revealed as being a potential. What do they call it? Relic, artifact. Relic. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thank you so much. I had so much fun. Hey, really quick, because we got about 2 minutes left. We'll start with Dave. Dave, your next book is coming out in January. Where can everybody get the Lightship Chronicles Volume 1 right now?
Well, Volume 1 Impulse, you can most likely to get, the best place to get it is probably Amazon.com or any other of your online retailers. It's probably not in too many bookstores anymore because it's a hardcover and they don't stay very long on the shelves these days, but they are available. Starbound is the second book. It's Lightship Chronicles #2, and it's coming out January 5th of 2016, just 3 weeks before Mike and I's birthday. So that's good timing. And also there's going to be a mass market edition of Impulse that comes out in December. That'll be about $8, a smaller paperback book and a lot more easy for people to afford. $8 sometimes and $25 in these modern times.
And Dave, do you have a website?
I do. It's www.davebara.info. I had davebara.com, but I had a long twilight struggle with my my webmaster until I was able to fire her. So davebara.info for the time being is the place to go.
And Mike, what have you got going on?
I've got a million things. I'm going to be down at the MUFON symposium with you, and we're going to be doing some cool stuff there. In fact, some stuff that you may even be involved in that is a complete secret, except to everybody listening now.
Yes.
On the radio. And I am scheduled to go to Dragon Con on Labor Day weekend, but there may be some issues coming up with that. I'll let everybody know on my website. And then I've got a MUFON in Philly in October. I'm going to do the MUFON presentation there. So beyond that, I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that I can't talk about yet because nothing's been signed. So we'll talk about it at some point in the future. I got a great new book out, Ancient Aliens and Secret Societies, which Jimmy Church has not had me on to talk about yet.
Oh, we gave away some of those. Stop it. Hey, you guys thank you so much. I had a great time, and there you go.
And you know what I want to say to everybody here? Let's have no more kidney stones in this group.
Oh, I'm so done. No, I don't know, man. Vicodin's a good thing. I'll talk to you guys.
Okay, thanks.
Have a great night. Love you right back.
Good night.
Dave and Mike Bara, twins. I can't tell them apart. You know what's really funny? And I know that all of you picked up on the same thing. Those guys are twins. The same vocabulary, the same tone, the same humor, the same mindset, the same science fiction background and foreground. Absolutely entertaining to us. I know Mike really, really well, and I didn't know it was Dave talking. I didn't think I'd have that issue tonight, but I certainly did. Wow, what a great show. And now, for everybody that's listening now in the future, not the now, but in the future, and you're listening to the replay of the show, all of the images that we're talking about will be at jimmychurchradio.com. You can go back and check. Just click on Mike Bara, Dave Bara. Go back. We'll have the image library there for everything that we have talked about on the show tonight. Tomorrow night, Fader Night. Live phone calls all night long. We're not going to be doing rock and roll trivia tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be an open line. And I want to leave you with this. Check this out really quick. Marionette, developed by researchers Red Jack and the Portland State University, mask your visits to banned sites and services by making your data transmissions seem innocuous. It just doesn't disguise the traffic type. It doesn't do that. You can actually program it to mimic the variances you'd expect from a given form of traffic. For example, a voice chat. And respond in a convincing way when sensors blocking that software comes calling and follows you. Marionette's source code is available right now, but it may be a while before you want to use it. Let the bugs get worked out, because if you're a political dissident or a listener to Fade to Black, you don't want the software to break and let the governments catch you in the act. With that, this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night is Fader Night live. Open lines all night long. Get ready. We'll be giving away stuff all night. You know how we do it. Show is produced by executive producer, the one and only Rita Kamarian. Very special thanks to Casper Parks, Dave, and Mike Bara. John Burrows for popping in earlier. Show was produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, and Jonas. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication, KGRA The Planet. Tomorrow night, Fader Night, open lines. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2015 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network and cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. Go Beckley Teppy.